It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Great panel for you. Seth Weintraub is here from Electrek. Denise Howell, our official internet attorney, and Nicholas DeLeon from Consumer Reports. Coming up, Facebook meets 60 Minutes. Is this the beginning of the end? A senator gets confused. Watch what happens next. And a pickup truck with a built-in kitchen? We'll have a first look. It's all coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 843, recorded Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. A liar who delivers. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Thinkst Canary. Detect attackers on your network while avoiding irritating false alarms. Get the alerts that matter. For 10% off and a 60-day money-back guarantee, go to canary.tools/twit and enter the code TWIT in the How Did You Hear About Us box. And by Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get it shipped to you free, go to mintmobile.com/twit. And by CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike harnesses the power of every click, every action, every ally to grow stronger and stop cyber threats before they can stop you. Join the fight and experience the power of Falcon Platform free today at crowdstrike.com/twit. And by ExpressVPN. Going online without ExpressVPN is like using your smartphone without a case. Most of the time, you'll probably be fine, but all it takes is one accidental drop onto concrete to make you wish you'd protected yourself. Use our link, expressvpn.com/twit today, and you'll get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. I just scared the panel. I think by telling them this is going to be a long show. It's not. I promise. It's going to be a normal size show. Great to have you, Denise Howell, back in. Well, I wish it was in studio, but back in the show. Internet lawyer, of course, former host, longtime host of This Week in Law. Great to see you, Denise. Things going well?
Great to see you too. Things are going great.
How's your new clothing business doing?
It's plugging along. It's it's more of a
labor of love,
pastime than a business. Yes,
project.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, give me a plug for the website so we can tell everybody where to go.
Sure. It's fitswithfits.com.
And do you call yourself Fits? Is that the idea?
Fits with Fits. So the idea is that's short for outfits with benefits.
Oh, outfits. I get it.
Yes.
Ah, Fits with Fits.
So they fit with your other fits. It's all sustainable. It's all secondhand. And actually, I am giving away a set right now. So if anyone is interested in this and thinks it's a cool thing, there's a local business person here in Orange County where I live who has a real world brick and mortar boutique called Bohemia Newport Beach. Nice. And she has struggled through the pandemic, but has managed to keep her business open. And she had the dubious honor of being the first business in Orange County to require customers to be vaccinated to enter her store.
Oh, God.
And
so no one's coming in now, right? And she's got protests out front.
I think she's doing great, but she is located in this very touristy part of town, right down by the beach, right down by a lot of bars. And so there's a sign out front that says you have to be vaccinated to come in, and she's gotten a bit of grief. So I am giving away a set of Fits with Fits to help her out. So if you go to Bohemia Newport Beach on Instagram, there's information there how to enter and win it. And I will just say too that you don't have to wear them yourself. They are giftable. They arrive very nicely packaged and might be a nice gift for someone.
It's really cool. This is something Denise has done for years. She's got a whole look based around going to secondhand stores and so forth. If you follow her Instagram, you've seen these every day, these great looks, and now you can participate with these timely drops. I love the idea. And I think it's great that you're supporting a store that requires masks for all the grief they get. I don't know about you, but I much prefer to patronize a restaurant or a business where they say, vaccinations, masks, please. I feel much safer. You know, if you don't want a mask, if you don't want to get a vaccine, that's fine. Go to those businesses, and I'll just stay away. Thank you very much. I think this is I don't know what's happening. It's crazy. Anyway, great.
Well, it's sad she got attacked. You know,
it's ridiculous. Yeah. So ridiculous. Also with us, sitting just to your left, Nicholas De Leon. He is a senior reporter at Consumer Reports, specializes in tech there. Hey, Nicholas, how are you?
Hello, Leo. I'm doing well. How are you?
It's great. We haven't had you on in a while. It's good to have you back. I just used Consumer Reports to pick out a induction stovetop. And actually, we were about to buy the one that was lowest ranked for repairability. So I went, no, put the brakes on, Lisa. We're getting the one that's number one. You reviewed a Bosch cooktop. You said it's the first time we've had a perfect score in a long time for a cooktop. So.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know anything about
You don't do those? Yeah.
Not really. But it's funny you mentioned repairability. That is something we're trying to think a little bit more about. Yeah. Like, that should be a key component of a purchase decision. You don't want to encourage maybe not e-waste or just whatever type of waste. Repairing stuff is important, and we're thinking about it.
Are you guys going to review the Fairphone?
That's an interesting question because it's not technically available in the United States.
Right.
I did ask the powers that be that we should at least do something about it. I actually just yesterday got the what's the laptop?
I have the framework.
The framework.
Can I say how I feel about it? I don't want to prejudice you.
Sure. I mean, I've read impressions.
No spoilers. It's awesome. And I'm running it not with Windows, but with Linux, and Linux installs flawlessly. It was as if it was built for Linux. Really love it. It's my current favorite laptop as a framework. So.
Yeah, no, I just got it in the mail maybe 2 days ago. We'll be doing something hopefully the next couple of weeks on it. Not an official review, I don't think, not a test. CR's got this whole weird dichotomy, but we'll have some content on it shortly. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love Consumer Reports. Been a member for decades now. And I know that you have a real methodology and the way you do it. I really respect it and I trust it. So thank you for doing the work you do. Also with us, a man who cannot stop starting new websites. Seth Weintraub, he started 9 to 5 Mac your first?
Yep.
And then
2007.
Wow. And of course he discovered Mark Gurman, 9 to 5 Google. Now you also have Electrek, which is for electric vehicles. You were telling me about some of the new sites you've started, including a site, Connect with Watts.
Connect the Watts. Connect the dots, but
Connect
Watts.
the Watts, which is for people who use those home fitness systems like the Peloton and Apple Fit. I think that's great. You can't stop. You just can't stop. Very impressed. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Is your labor of love, though, I get the sense it's electric.
At the moment, yeah, it feels like the moment, for electric vehicles. So and electric bikes and electric cars, everything.
Sure is. Yeah.
So I spend probably a inordinate amount of time there.
We do too, actually.
Okay.
If you go in our garage, there's a Bolt. There's a Mustang Mach-E. We just bought the SE Mini Cooper, which is delayed because of chip shortages, but we'll get that later in the year. There's 2 Segways. There's not enough plug sockets. There's 4 e-bikes. It's crazy. Everything's electric.
Which e-bikes did you get?
We ended up, I probably should have read Electrek before I did it, but we ended up getting what I consider to be a good quality e-bike, but that cost a little bit less. And it's called, and I can't remember the name, but I really liked them. We have a few of them. My son, we ended up getting a more expensive specialized e-bike because I don't know why we wanted to get him a nicer bike. And then I have the is it the System 73? What is the name of that?
Super 73.
Super 73. That was the first one I got.
We just rode those around Germany. They were a ton of fun.
They're so cute. I got them because they look like a little electric motorcycle kind of, and they're really fun to drive around. So I have that, but the main workhorse is the Rad Power bike.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I've been very happy with those, and they're fairly inexpensive compared to the Specialized was like $7,000.
Jeez,
I know, it's crazy.
It's the car.
Yeah, we just reviewed what is it? The Woohoo, the Voohoo, the Dutch one. I can't remember the name of it, but Aunt really loved it. So e-bikes are the most fun thing ever invented. I have to say. I
agree.
Yeah. Really, really.
Feel like a kid again.
Yeah. They're really fun to drive. All right. Enough.
I have a brand for you to review real quick before we leave the e-bike. Have you ridden a Stromer yet?
No.
Ooh.
The Stromer sounds good. So,
yeah, it's Swiss.
Swiss. It's got to be good. It's made with Swiss power. Is that what you ride? Boy, that's cute. Is that what you ride, Denise?
So a friend of mine who likes to make me ride up and down Mount Tam with her when I come visit has one of these, and I borrowed her husband's.
Yeah,
and once you've ridden one,
yeah,
you kind of don't want to ride anything else, especially if you're going to take long, very hilly rides.
I am loving bikes.
The battery capacity on these is amazing.
What I wish is that the cities were more bike friendly. I mean, the real reason I don't ride it all the time, I would ride it all the time, but I'm afraid of getting clobbered. There's this ghost bike movement where somebody's died riding a bike and they paint the bikes white. They're all over Sonoma County, but there's one on the bridge that I would go over every day. As soon as I saw the ghost bike, somebody was killed there. It's like, yeah, I guess I'll be driving.
Those ghost bikes are meant for drivers, but I feel like they scare more bikers than car drivers.
Yeah, well, I always felt nervous going over it. Even before, I was scared of this bridge. There's no bike lane. It's very narrow. It's terrifying. I always would look over my shoulder and wait till there was no traffic and then speed over the bridge. But it's just, it's not bike friendly. And boy, it'd be nice if cities were more bike friendly. It would be just a wonderful way to get around. I'd love to see that. And maybe then I would get a Stromer. I like the looks of that. That's great. But we have all the rad powers, the city and the big fat tire one. And very happy with those. All right, enough. Let's talk tech tonight. And I guess you know what? In about 20 minutes on the East Coast, 60 Minutes is going to do a big expose on Facebook. Facebook already nervous after seeing the tease. Nick Clegg, who runs their, effort to calm everybody down division, has already posted on Friday a Facebook post saying, don't worry, it's not bad. It's not like they say. 1,500-word memo. He's Facebook's vice president, former deputy prime minister in Great Britain, with interesting reviews. He wrote a 1,500-word essay. He's their vice president of policy and global affairs, to preempt the whistleblower interview tonight on 60 Minutes. He said, the allegations are misleading. This is, I think, Facebook's point of view on this, and I'm not sure I disagree with it. This is a quote from Clegg's memo. Social media has had a big impact on society in the recent years. Facebook is often a place where much of this debate plays out, but what evidence there is simply does not support the idea that Facebook or social media more generally is the primary cause of polarization. I don't disagree. Facebook's been in the spotlight ever since the Wall Street Journal began its Facebook Files reports last week, primarily based on this whistleblower who is, I guess, finally coming forward on 60 Minutes. Later this week, he or she will be testifying in front of the Senate, so we'll probably learn their identity at that point. The documents that were leaked out include internal slide decks, one of which said Instagram is bad for young women who feel bad about themselves, already feel worse after Instagram, after seeing Instagram. Facebook said, you've mischaracterized the findings. But the real accusation is that Facebook, kind of like big tobacco, knows about the problems Facebook causes, but buries it, doesn't release that information to the public, let alone doing anything about it. Denise, is there anything Facebook could do? Should Facebook be worried about tonight's 60 Minutes?
Well, I think they've gotten out in front of it. And I don't know if you've seen, he not only issued a memo, but also was on Brian Stetler's show on CNN. So if you've seen Nick Clegg speak about this as well, he's very commanding and capable, and I think persuasive, and makes some good points about the fact that there's not a whole lot Facebook can do to shut down things as they're happening in real time, for example. I think there's a fine line between needing to hopefully detect and stop terrorist acts and also needing to let people do what Facebook is for, organize, congregate, talk with each other. And certainly you're not going to, hopefully nobody wants to keep Facebook from doing the latter. That's what it's there for. We can't just have an internet where everybody, I suppose we could. That's the alternative, right? To have an internet where everyone has their own websites and no platforms.
That's kind of the way it used to be before Twitter.
That's basically
Facebook.
what you're headed toward if you're saying that social networks can't let people organize a march in Washington. Of course, we're concerned about more than just a march. But
one of the things the whistleblower said is that Facebook, and this is internally, I think some Facebook employees have also raised this issue, that they had protections in place for the election. But as soon as the election was over, they took them down. And it's now being said that was premature because it was then that Facebook was used to organize the January 6th insurrection. So that perhaps Facebook acted too quickly to take down their protections. You can't say that all the problems in the world come from Facebook by any means. Nick Clegg says it's ludicrous to blame the Capitol riot on social media. I guess the question is, does Facebook have any responsibility in, they seem to. They take down, false COVID and vaccine posts. They try to do something about it. Do they have any responsibility? A, and B, do they have the capability? They're big. They're huge. It'd be almost impossible to monitor Facebook in real time. Look, you're a publisher, Seth. What is the responsibility of a platform in this complicated world?
Well, so I will say that I don't think Facebook is a net positive currently on humanity. So, what could they do to get better? Obviously, you mentioned they had a bunch of stuff up for the elections, but then they took it down. Well, why would they take it down?
Well, the election was over, I guess.
Yeah, but all the protections that they could put up, why not keep those protections up and keep those people employed and keep, they make quite a bit of money. It's not like they can't spend a little bit more money on people looking out for big issues. I just don't think Facebook is run terribly well. Obviously it's run really well as a money-making machine, but in terms of net positive to society, they just do what the bare minimum, and they know they're going to get fined by the government every few months or years, and they take it and they do all the PR spin that they always do, and we kind of just live with it. It just keeps happening, and they say, "Oh, we're sorry, we'll do this and that," and everybody's like, "Okay," and then next month something else happens, and this has been going on for 5 years, whatever.
I'll channel my friend Jeff Jarvis because he's always the defender on our This Week in Google show. Facebook was where that 17-year-old who took the video of George Floyd being murdered went. She probably was too young and not respectable enough to get the attention of a newspaper to be a whistleblower there. So Darnella Frazier went to Facebook and posted that George Floyd video and began a massive movement in the United States to protect black people. That's a positive. That's one way. Absolutely. Social media amplifies. Look, social media I'm not, by the way, I'm not in disagreement with anybody with you, Seth, because I'm not on Facebook. I don't like Facebook, but I think it's important to point out that Facebook amplifies all voices, and some of those voices are good, important.
Yeah, I think there's probably other ways to disseminate that video, or if she was recording it in Facebook. If Facebook didn't exist, she would be recording it in a different.
Yeah, I think she recorded it on her phone and then posted it on Facebook. So,
right.
There might have been other places, but certainly it was Facebook. Look, this is both the positive and negative of Facebook. It's very good at galvanizing people to action, and sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative.
Right. But maybe
I think what we're seeing. what we're seeing with this Wall Street Journal coverage, the Facebook files, and the fact that there's just a big focus on the platform right now, is market forces at work. I mean, there are people both inside and outside the company that are looking at what it's doing and scrutinizing what it's doing. And it's got, Facebook's all about the bottom line. And if it wants to survive and stay competitive and not keep chasing off people like Leo, then it's going to have to govern itself in a way that people do feel like it's a net positive, or at least not always negative, which I think we're seeing a lot of now. I actually, in all this coverage of teens on Instagram and the other leaked documents, the slide decks and reports that talked about Facebook's knowledge of its impact, is particularly Instagram's impact on teens, and how it can have how it's lots of users link it to their suicidal thoughts, and they have negative body image and various other very negative things for teens or anyone. I was actually kind of heartened that they're doing that research, that internally they're having these discussions, because
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe the market forces, or, if they had not been leaked and outed, maybe decisions would have been made that, hey, it helps our bottom line to make sure people stay safe.
It feels like it would be fair, Nicholas, to say to Facebook, great, you did the research. Here's what we want. Release the research. Let us all see every bit of it. 2, let independent researchers like NYU do their work instead of banning them from the platform and protecting yourself. Let information come out and let us be the judge. Wouldn't that be a fair thing to do, Nicholas?
That seems fair, and to me seems like such an easy decision for Facebook to make, and it would sort of like deflate a lot of this like media angst and antagonism towards the company if they were just slightly more open and transparent with this information. The attitude coming from the company just seems maybe not belligerent, but they're intransigent or something. They don't want to. It seems like they like a fight.
This is how this is how big tech acts. Right? Apple is defensive, Google's defensive, Facebook's defensive.
Yeah, I don't understand the communications, the comm strategies of some of these companies just to automatically, like, reflexively just like attack, be defensive. It doesn't appear to be like diffusing the media interest. So I don't know that it's a great strategy. It's funny they've got Nick Clegg there. Maybe I don't know what he's arguing, but this attitude, this combative attitude, it doesn't appear to be working. And if they are doing this research and they do have, I don't know. It just feels like they're already doing the work. Why not just release it?
I wonder if Facebook. There's 2 possibilities. One is, I think Facebook, probably rightly so, thinks normal people, our users, they don't care. This is all a big.
Sure.
They're the Wall Street Journal and 60 Minutes. Maybe 60 Minutes scares them a little bit because real people watch 60 Minutes. But I think most people say, I don't care. I use Facebook to stay in touch with my grandkids, with my high school sweetheart, with my neighborhood group. It's good for that. Well, I don't care. I don't see all that stuff. It's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
And they just kind of say, they brush it off. And I think Facebook's probably strategy is, well, we're not going to worry about it because our users don't care. There's also, though, maybe Facebook's a little worried about government intervention. And I'm going to play a clip that's kind of embarrassing. Senator Blumenthal talking to Facebook's safety chief this week. You know what the term Finsta is. I hadn't heard of it before, but I looked it up.
Sure.
Which Dick Blumenthal probably should have done. It's short for fake Instagram. It's something kids do. They create a fake account so that they can be private. So they can share photos not publicly but privately on Instagram. It's a way to use Instagram for privacy. For some, I don't know why, for some reason Dick Blumenthal thought it was something terrible.
Will you commit to ending Finsta?
This is a question for Facebook.
Senator, again, let me explain. We don't actually do Finsta. What Finsta refers to is young people setting up accounts where they may want to have more privacy. You refer to it as privacy from their parents. What in my interaction with teens, what I found is that they sometimes like to have an account where they can interact just with a smaller group of friends.
Well, Finsta is one of your products or services. We're not talking about Google or Apple. It's Facebook, correct?
Oh, my God. How do you explain to somebody who thinks Facebook has created something called Finsta? And so I understand why Facebook might be nervous that this guy could be regulating them.
Yeah, they are afraid of the regulators. And don't you just love how Senator Blumenthal there introduced us to the Finstones, our modern Stone Age congressional family?
Oh, that's good. You ought to start a meme. I could just see him pedaling his car. Congress has shown a kind of singular look. They've shown an appropriate interest in what's going on, and maybe there's something to do about this. But they've also shown a singular inability to understand it. Dick, get an Instagram account. It's not that hard. I think there are a lot of people your age who are doing that. I'm your age. It's bizarre. This is as bad.
It's really bizarre.
This is as bad as a series of tubes. This is ridiculous.
People are trying to defend him, saying, no, he actually knew what it was. He actually did earlier in the hearing read a definition of what a Finsta was. He read it out loud. So he either wasn't paying attention when he was reading, it didn't sink in, or people are actually like trying to get in his head and say, no, he must have meant he doesn't want Instagram and Facebook to enable kids to have accounts multiple accounts, and somewhere they're not using their real name. And I mean, that's a stretch to say that's what he was going for there. But that's even
scarier if the Senate's saying, oh, yeah, we got to make sure. And by the way, there are people who think that the problem with the internet is anonymity, and we should just make everybody have one Facebook account that's their real name and they should provide ID, and one Instagram account that's their real name and they should provide ID. If that's what they're going for, that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. That's not the answer.
Right.
I don't know.
So you make a good point, Leo, that Facebook and all the rest of big tech is quivering right now. They know that Washington is that they're an easy target, that you can do things like grandstand in the hearing that happened. When was it? Friday? And that they can do that over and over again and get out in front of their voters and say, look, except when they're completely doing a series of tubes botch, they're saying we're paying attention to these issues that matter to you and you should reelect us. I mean, basically that's the whole context of what's going on there.
And honestly, if Facebook's doing anything wrong, they're just not paying enough money to the right people, because gun manufacturers and the military-industrial complex and the Koch brothers, everybody else knows how to handle Congress. Is it Silicon Valley just hasn't figured out? You just give a few senators some money and it all goes away. You don't have to worry anymore. All right, I'm sorry. I'm getting cynical. Pardon me, in my old age.
I just want the Congress people to start letting their staffs handle the hearings. Maybe we'd have better luck.
It's my guess that was a staff. He was reading it. That was a question he had.
Yeah, somebody on his staff blew it.
Somebody on his staff really screwed up because, are you going to stop Finsta? What? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, hopefully that person got the axe.
Yeah. So what? Also, the other problem is, even if you were to say, look, this is Facebook's a huge problem, as you do, Seth. What would you do? How would you fix it? You don't put them out of business, right?
It's quite complicated. I can't even imagine like how much work would be involved with that, like on the ground level. So, but on a high level, it doesn't feel like what we're doing now is.
Do you have a Facebook account?
I do. My mom thinks Facebook is the internet. So
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mom is not watching 60 Minutes tonight and worrying about Facebook. She's going, I don't know what they're talking about. This is how I stay in touch with my son.
Right. Also, we have the site, so we have to do,
business-wise.
We put business-wise, we have to put out all of our stuff.
I say I don't have a Facebook account, but of course Twit does. And we have social media marketing experts who post there and stuff. But because you kind of have to if you're a business, I guess. It's very hard to think of how you would solve a problem when you have 3 billion users, all of whom are posting, crazy stuff.
Let me connect some dots back to July. You mentioned, Leo, that Facebook and YouTube and others are taking aggressive steps to keep vaccine misinformation off their sites, or to find it and take it down.
YouTube just banned Dr. Joseph Mercola, who's like the big name anti-vax.
And you know, I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but it seems to me like you can trace that back to July when our Surgeon General in the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy, if I'm saying his name right, issued a statement, advisory, did a whole press conference. I'm not sure exactly what the document he published is called. It's non-binding. It's more of a guidance, but he was very concerned about misinformation, and he pointed a great big old finger at big tech and said the tech companies actually have a much better sense of how much misinformation is being transacted on their platforms. And without understanding the full extent of it, it's hard to formulate the most effective strategies. And he's got a point. And what he's getting without anybody enacting a law or having grandstanding hearings is, I think you can draw a line from those actions by this one person in government back in July to what we're seeing now on the platforms. Maybe.
Even if you took away today Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, just like they never existed, we'd still have a massive problem in this country, right? It's not that those platforms are required for the polarization we have in this country, right? Would it be different? Would it be better? Seth, you seem to think it'd be better.
I don't think it would be as strong. I don't think there would be as much a motivation to go just, you know, the Democrats and Republicans right now seem to be just like 100% going at each other.
And it's going at each other on those platforms specifically.
On those platforms, yeah.
Although, as Denise said,
do it offline too.
Her friend who has a store put up a sign saying masks required and is attacked.
It was vaccinations, actually. So a little more controversial than just masks.
Yeah. But this is coming, by the way, because people who are pro-vaccination are looking at people who are anti-vaccination as bringing the whole thing down. Like we were about to emerge and this was going to be fine. People who are anti-vaccination look at pro-vaccination and say, your tools of, I don't know who, what, I don't know, the big pharma, I don't know what it is that they think. And that battle is, people are getting more and more pissed at each other, right? It's getting more and more polarized. Even though, by the way, I should point out the vast majority of people have been vaccinated now. The anti-vaxxers are a minority, but they're a loud minority.
I think if I'm hearing you right, Leo, you're sort of saying, what if there were a world without social media?
Yeah.
I mean, is that really a world that is the problem so bad that that's where we want to go? I mean,
no. I mean, you could make the argument that my business is based on, you know, internet broadcasting. And so it's a form of that. Right. Where do you cut it off? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Do you remember? I don't know if you've ever had Andrew Keene on any of the shows on the network. You remember his book, The Cult of the Amateur?
Cult of the Amateur. Yeah.
Right.
He predicted this.
He did. We're living it.
He said that we would be celebrating the lack of expertise in the world. And that's exactly what's happening. When you hear people like Adam Curry on his podcast called physicians the medical elite, as if they're somehow, you know, because they studied medicine for 7 years, they're somehow, you know, taking advantage of us. And we should listen to somebody who hasn't studied medicine for medical advice. No, it's not elitism, it's expertise. And it's okay to have experts. In fact, probably better to listen to experts than non-experts. I don't know.
So I don't think you get to take away everybody's megaphone, though. You know,
I mean, you know what? Even if I wanted to, that's out of that horse has left the barn a long time ago. There's nothing you can do about that. It's a fantasy. It's an interesting thought experiment. Would we be different? Would we be better off without these? Maybe. But the fact is, we got them.
What if there was like an open source blockchain? You know, it ran off the blockchain like Facebook, that you had control of. You decided what you saw, what you didn't see.
You don't even have to go so far as blockchain. If I really wanted my family to use Discord and have a private family Discord. You could have a private server that's Discord. There's no ads in it. There's nobody else in it. It's just whoever you invite to be on it. And your mom would stay in touch with you, and she could chat with you and see pictures and all that stuff. There's plenty of ways to do that. You could have a Finsta. There's plenty of ways. Right. Yeah.
It's funny. To me, I feel like social media is pretty good for me. Like I don't see a lot of craziness. I mean, on Instagram, I look at pictures of like watches I can't afford, which is nice to aspirational.
Yeah. It makes you feel bad about your current watch, but that's okay.
What are you going to do, though? But soccer stuff, and my YouTube is all video games and computer benchmarks, and it's like, I don't know at what level is this what people choose to expose themselves to. If you're someone who's predisposed into anti-elite, those medical elite, and you find those communities, maybe Facebook could make it harder to find those communities, or maybe they should suggest those communities to you. But if you're someone who's just like, I love the NBA, I like watching NBA highlights on Twitter, I don't know. That seems fairly harmless to me. I don't know. Maybe
I hear that argument all the time from a lot of people who say, I love my Twitter, I love my Facebook, I love my Instagram because I only follow people who, and I think that's really the case for everybody who loves those platforms. They follow the people that say things consonant with their own beliefs.
Right.
And you can't fault Facebook for providing that platform for people. They choose their beliefs. They choose who they're going to follow.
I mean, I remember when I was, 15, 16, I was on a Usenet professional wrestling groups discussing the latest storylines and all that stuff. It's like I found that. Was that social media? I don't know. Do we blame Usenet for making me interested in, The Rock or whatever? I don't know. But it is very interesting to me. I am very much of the person. It's like, these are tools. You can use them for good or bad. Obviously it does feel that the companies can make it a little harder to find some of the bad stuff. But Facebook and Twitter, they didn't invent, bad people. Twitter did not invent jerks. Zuckerberg did not invent people who are mean to each other.
Yeah.
Couple of thoughts. The current hand-wringing is about, some of the current hand-wringing anyway is about kids, the, very current hand-wringing right now. And are these platforms doing enough to protect kids from the adverse impacts of seeing watches that are very expensive that they can't afford and yet they want
and feel bad about
and seeing people who have, so perfected their image. I mean, it's unreal what you can do with the proper cameras and filters and for us as a tech show and tech journalist people, there is a huge boom, I would say, to sort of gadgetry that is all aimed at how do we look good on these platforms. I would go so far as to say the current iteration of the iPhone they just started selling, it's new, what's it called? Cinema mode?
Yeah.
Where they've taken, you blur out the background in photos in portrait mode. You can do that in your videos now too.
Or you could buy those new Ray-Bans designed to put pictures up on Facebook from the camera in your glasses.
Yes.
Yes. We live in that world.
So, we live in a world where, do kids really need to be protected from some of this stuff? I'd say yes, but a lot of that should fall to how kids are educated about how to use the tools, what harms the tools can do to them, how to, take it in stride and take it with a grain of salt and know that, I have a teenager and I can tell you he and all his friends know that the stuff that they see on Instagram isn't real. They know that it's formulated for their consumption. That doesn't mean they don't hold themselves to those standards, but they're skeptical about it. They're aware of it. Yeah.
If anything good came out of this, it's the fact that Adam Mosseri announced that Instagram was not going to do Instagram Kids because of this scrutiny. Which was, I think, a good idea to not do that.
I actually am kind of sad about that.
Really?
Somebody's got to give kids a platform they can use. I don't even know if Club Penguin exists anymore, but they're going to go somewhere. Shouldn't it be by a company who understands what their regulatory obligations are under COPPA and, that's actually going to have the huge deep pockets you need to be able to comply with those regulations that are already on the books. And now we've got our FTC chair, Lina Khan is her name.
Yeah.
She issued a memo this week that is really interesting and deserves a deep dive. about what the FTC on her watch, what she wants the FTC to do about privacy and ad tech and children's tech and on and on. It's pretty interesting. And
she's very savvy and very anti-big tech, right? She's really concerned about the impact of big tech.
And she may, there's been some pushback that some of what she's proposing might be beyond the ambit of what the FTC is actually allowed to do under its designated authority. But it's interesting that there might be some attention paid from that front, because the FTC is also who's responsible for enforcing COPPA. One of the things she says is, if you expect us, the FTC, to, be the enforcement arm of all these concerns, you're going to have to give us the resources we need. She says they're vastly underfunded to be able to do the job here. And she's probably right. I mean,
Does she have, you probably know better than anybody, does she have the power to do this? Does she need Congress to do this? Does she need the president to do it? Or is she just a figurehead? Is she just there to say the right words, make everybody feel better?
Oh, no, the FTC has teeth and it can enforce things. And she has legal theories as to how she has the authority to do some of this stuff. But those theories will be challenged. And you remember net neutrality, how that wound up going back and forth in court. We might see that kind of scenario playing out here as well.
I think that's all for the good. I think this is a conversation that we should have. The FTC is a very natural place to have those conversations. The courts are the right place to adjudicate those, maybe better than Congress. And if laws need to be made, if antitrust laws need to be modified for the modern era, that's fine. Congress can do that. This seems to be all to the good. It's an intractable problem. But I don't think you could put it on Mark Zuckerberg's shoulders to fix Facebook. I think he is, like any business, going to act in his own self-interest as much as he can. I think it's going to be up to us, the people, in the form of our government, to figure out how we want to solve this. And I think just more transparency, more openness probably is the right way to go. I hate to get into the conversation because it's really such an endless conversation. We have it all the time, and I don't know what the answer is. But tonight is going to be an important turning point, I think, in this, because 60 Minutes has such reach. So many people will see this, and I'd be very curious to see what your mom thinks, Seth, after the Sunday night 60 Minutes piece on Facebook.
Well, I'll ask her on Facebook.
Best way to stay.
Leo, I have a question for you. Yeah. Do they think it's the same whistleblower?
Yes, they do, but we don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the impression I get is the whistleblower that went to the Washington Post has now gone to CBS and will be testifying on Tuesday in front of Congress.
You mean the Wall Street Journal?
Did I say I meant Wall Street Journal and then CBS because of 60 Minutes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Kara Swisher was on Meet the Press today and said that Facebook is amplifying and weaponizing hate. So there's a strong voice in the tech community coming in on this. It's a very interesting conversation, and I think I agree with you, Seth. It's clear there's a problem. I just don't know what the answer is. We'll take a break. Come back with more. Good to have you all. In fact, it's great. It's better than good. It's great to have you back. Seth Weintraub, publisher, editorial director at 9 to 5 and Electric. He's the founder there, and he's got some new magazines. Great to see you. Denise Howell, my internet lawyer from denisehowell.info, and Fitz with Fitz, and Nicholas De Leon, who's a tech reporter, senior electronics reporter. Let me get that right. At Consumer Reports. Great to have all three of you. I have a great little tool that we've been using here at Twit for some years now to protect your security. We talk so much about ransomware. The real problem these days with ransomware is it doesn't just happen all at once. A bad guy uses exploits, probably phishing, to get into your internal company network. And then instead of triggering it right away, they wander the network. They look at resources. They exfiltrate information that they can use either to blackmail you or just to sell on the black market. And then once they really understand your network, sometimes months or years later, then they might trigger the ransomware. So the trick to protecting yourself is to know when there's an intruder. And so many people protect the perimeter, the periphery, and then forget that you also got to check what's going on the inside. That's where the Thinkst Canary is so cool. We talk a lot about advanced persistent threats, this idea that bad guys are in your network. But rather than the villain lying in wait inside your network, you've got a hero waiting for them. It's unfortunate. Companies find out too late they've been compromised. I think it's on average, it takes 191 days for a company to realize there's been a data breach. That's 6 months. And you can think of some cases where it's been years. Years before they even know somebody is in the network. Even after they've already spent millions on IT security. Canary is something you have to have that goes hand in hand with your perimeter security to detect prowlers inside your network. What do? They browse Active Directory for file servers. They explore file shares looking for documents. They'll see network devices. They'll try default passwords to log in to your routers and your NAS servers. They'll scan for open services across the network. Just it gives you the creepy crawlies even to think about it. Thinkst Canaries are a little appliance. They're like an IoT device, but they're very clever. They can pose as anything. When you go into the Canary configuration, you can tell it to be a router or a switch or a NAS server. Mine's actually set up to be a Synology NAS, a Windows box or a Linux box. You can turn on as many services as you want, do a complete Christmas tree, light them all up, or be more judicious. The beauty of this is Thinkst Canaries don't look vulnerable on your network. They look valuable. They look like something a bad guy wants to get into. With my NAS, it has a Synology MAC address. It has the Synology login page identical. When they try to log in, I get a notification. Somebody is trying to log into your Canary. There's somebody inside your network. You can even use Thinkst Canaries to put fake files around your network, scatter them around. They call them Canary tokens. They can look like a PDF, a Word document, a spreadsheet. I have spreadsheets on our network that say things like employee payroll information, you know. And as soon as somebody tries to open it, boom, I know. And I love that because you don't get, you know, a slurry of false positives. You only get alerts when there's really something to be paying attention to. And you can get them in any way you like. Email, you can get a text message. There's a console that comes with the Canary. You can have Slack. They support webhooks. They have an API, so you can make it work with anything. Syslog, if you like to use that. You're going to love having this on your system. And not just one. You probably want more than one. There's some banks, big enterprises that might have hundreds of Canaries. Smaller companies might just have one or two. They're deployed all over the world, all 7 continents. The guys who've designed this have been in the security game for more than 20 years. They've trained companies, militaries, and governments about breaking into networks. They know from the other side what hackers are doing and what they're looking at, and that's why they designed the best honeypot ever, the easiest to configure, and it's a great deal too. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want 5 Canaries. Go to canary.tools/twit, $7,500 a year. You get your own hosted console. You get upgrades automatically, support, maintenance. If you sit on one and break it, they'll send you another one. It's all part of your deal. By the way, if you use the code TWIT in the How Did You Hear About Us box, you could take 10% off that price forever, for as long as you use your Canaries. And if you're not happy, there's a great 2-month money-back guarantee. So there's really no cost to trying this out and seeing how it works. The best thing is you put this on your network. If you don't hear from it, you're happy. It's great. It's quiet. It just sits there quietly. We've only had our Canary go off once, and when it did, it was good. We knew. There was a device in our network scanning all the NASs on the network. Actually, not just the NASs, all the network devices. It was a NAS itself. I don't know. It was from Western Digital. I don't know why it was doing that, but we tracked it down. We got rid of it right away. Canary.tools/twit. Offer code TWIT. 10% off for the life of your device. Canary.tools/twit. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. Oh, let's see. Going on with but more moral panic. Let's see. What else do we have? More moral panic. Have you seen it? Okay, that was actually interesting. Amazon had an event. We didn't stream it because they don't do a public stream, but a lot of people went to it. I don't know if you sent reporters to it, Seth. I imagine you did, showing all these new Echo devices. I thought one was interesting. It was an Amazon Echo 15-inch screen you hang on the wall. $250, very affordable for what you get. But of course, the one that everybody paid attention to was Astro the home robot. I'll play a little video for you here of Astro the home robot. It follows you around. If there's a stranger in the house, first of all, you set it up so that it does face recognition. So it knows everybody in the house. And it's got the cute little eyes. It follows you around. If it sees somebody it doesn't know, it goes and looks at them and sends you a picture. There's somebody in the house. I don't know them. There it is. It's backing up to charge. It's like a little Roomba with a screen on it. It also has a telescoping camera, which is kind of weird. The screen, though, you got to get on your knees. When Grandma's talking to you, you got to get down on your knees so you wouldn't want, and she can follow you around. This is something a lot of companies have tried to get into this home. There's the periscope. It's going up. Everybody's trying to get into the home robot business. $1,000 available for the holiday shopping season. What do you think? Seth, you going to buy it?
Shall I jump in?
Yeah, it's you. You know what? I think we should have our attorney talk about this. Will you get an Astro?
I'm not planning on it. I have stairs in my house. I don't want it doing a header down the stairs.
One engineer who worked on the team, and maybe this is bitter grapes or something, but one of the guys said it will throw itself down the stairs as soon as it can. As soon as it gets an opportunity to. Now, maybe he wasn't on the team when they fixed that. Developers who worked on the early version say the version of the robot they worked on did not work well. Quote, this is from Vice, Astro is terrible and will almost certainly throw itself down a flight of stairs if presented with the opportunity. The person detection is unreliable at best, making the in-home security proposition laughable. The device feels fragile for something with an absurd cost. The mast has broken on several devices, locking itself in the extended or retracted position, which means there's no way to ship it back to Amazon when it happens. They're also pushing it as an accessibility device, but with the mast breaking and the possibility that at any given moment it'll commit suicide on the flight of stairs, it's best absurdist nonsense and marketing, and at worst, potentially dangerous for anyone who would rely on it for accessibility purposes. That may be just a disgruntled former Astro designer. I don't know.
I like how Amazon will just kind of throw devices out there and see if they stick.
Yeah. They have this day one thing that they do where it's like crazy stuff and you get to vote on it. I ordered a thermal printer that would you could say to your Echo, print my shopping list, and it would go, zzz. It still hasn't come. I don't know if it'll ever come, but I like these ideas.
But you remember the Echo Look was the thing you were going to put in your
I sent you my Look
closet.
Do you still have it?
No, they discontinued support for the Look.
Oh.
And I have who knows? This could be a similar thing where
But you liked it when you had it, right?
I liked it when I had it. I didn't use it as intended. And I think that, that's probably true of a lot of people's devices.
There's always the problem with stuff like this that they may just say, yeah, never mind.
When I put my lawyer hat on, and we go back to our discussion we were having a minute ago, are we going to keep people from having always listening robots in their homes? I don't know that we can. I also don't know that they're a good idea. And there's a really interesting piece on voice recognition and voice surveillance and how it just gets you to a place where you get used to this kind of thing.
Are you talking about the New York Times opinion piece?
Well, there was that, yes.
Yeah. Hear that? It's your voice being taken for profit. This is by a professor of media systems at the University of Pennsylvania. He wrote a book called The Voice Catchers, How Marketers Listen In to Exploit Your Feelings, Your Privacy, Your Wallet. It's everybody's worst paranoid nightmare. I don't.
Right.
Do you think that like the Amazon Echo is listening to everything? No, it's not sending that data back all the time. Is it?
Let's hope not. I mean, it could. And from a privacy standpoint, I want there to be rules in place that make it very, very clear that the only way in which, your voices and your images, that these devices are being used for anything other than your own use is very well explained and very opt-in. As long as we have those kinds of controls in place, then there's no danger that, well, until somebody decides to break the rules, right?
But, one of the things,
Tarot, until the data's hacked.
One of the things that actually seems less paranoid to me that Tarot mentions is that when you're, you always hear this when you're on the phone with your bank or whatever, this call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. They're actually recording it for biometric purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yikes.
And just, you get so used to being watched and recorded everywhere you are that at some point you just stop paying attention and don't think it's a big deal. And it can be a big deal if we don't have good safeguards on it in place. And if there isn't good data security in place, right? Because all it takes is one whistleblower or one leak or one hack and all of this carefully guarded information that regulators have imposed restrictions on is out there for anybody's use.
Tarot says, my research suggests many customer contact centers, this is news to me, I'd never heard this, now approach and manage callers based on what they think the person's voice or syntax reveals about the individual's emotions, sentiments, and personality, often in real time. If during a call with a customer agent, this biometric technology tags you as tense, you may be offered a discount on your purchase. You may be, in other words, I guess any customer service rep kind of does this anyway, intuitively, but now they're using software to do this. That's news to me. I hadn't heard that. That's you, Seth. You went, ew.
Yeah. So that's scary and creepy, but it also doesn't seem to work because every time I do a call center call,
yes,
it's like the worst experience ever. And they say these things that they think that are helpful, and it's just really just annoying. And you just want the answer to your problem solved, and all the niceties and that kind of stuff really just makes me more angry. And
it's not working. What a surprise. This is a common story where companies rely on technology they think to do a better job, and all it does is make their customers angry. Look at recommendation engines. How often does Amazon recommend to you something you just bought?
Well, the ads are certainly like, if you buy something, you're going to get ads for that something.
I just bought it. I don't need an ad for that. That's the best you can do?
Right.
I don't think it helps to put things in a package that look like a little friend or like WALL-E.
Yeah, this Astro looks like WALL-E. Mm-hmm. By the way, we had an advertiser for a robot called Curry. I don't know if you remember the Curry. They actually we advertised it. They took pre-order deposits. Bosch was underwriting it. They eventually put it to sleep, and they said, "Yeah, we're never going to get this working because stairs, I guess." But unfortunately, I'm happy to say that they ended up giving everybody refunds for their deposits, so nobody was out money. But the Curry robot looked. Let me see if I can. This is from Mayfield Robotics. This was an advertiser on Twit. Looked very much like Astro. Same idea, and it did even less. but it had the little eyes, and it would follow you around, read you stories, make sounds. This is 4 years ago.
Yeah. How about Vector? I remember when you guys all had
the
Vector
Anki
driving
Vector
around.
Yeah, they had eyes too, didn't they? Little cute little eyes. When I went over to Mayfield Robotics to look at this, I said, "This is really cool. It's neat. The technology is great. What does it do? Nothing." What's the point of it? Well, your kids are going to grow up in a world where there are robots in the home, so you should get them used to it. Now, I guess you could make the same argument for Astro. The Anki, at least, was a toy. Mm-hmm. Would do stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would pick up a little block.
Yeah, well, okay, that's something. Amazon in the ad. Apparently, there's a recalcitrant spouse who says, "Why are we getting this robot?" But she's mollified because the Astro, has cup holders, and her husband sends her a beer. And she says, "Oh, well, let's get this now. I like it." This, by the way, the Anki had
a killer app.
Echo built in. Yeah, it's a beer delivery device.
It's the dream, living the dream. I remember there was an R2-D2 little robot guy, it didn't do much. I'm sure it could fall down the stairs just as easily as Astro, but it did have a cup holder. Like, so there is definitely,
precedent.
I honestly don't want to knock Amazon for trying this, because I agree with you, Denise. It's kind of neat that they throw stuff up against the wall just to see what sticks, and they're kind of brave. They're willing to do that. Complete opposite of Apple, which does years of testing and often doesn't release it because we didn't think anybody wanted it. I like the testing in public instead of in private. I think it's a good idea.
To me, the biggest issue here, the $1,000 to beta test, feels a little expensive. I mean, my initial reaction was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I'm not like ideologically opposed to having a little robot crawling around the house. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. I texted the story to my dad when it was announced, and he's pushing 70, and he's super into all the smart homes. You name it, he has it. He loves this.
That's
stuff.
Who's going to buy this.
Amazon feels, and I don't mean this just disrespectful, like very boomer. Like a lot of this stuff feels aimed at like guys who are like very Jetsons. They grew up on the Jetsons and all this stuff.
We want to live in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I think he said it was super cool. And so it's like, is he going to spend $1,000 for it? Probably not. Maybe but not like, cool. Again, and as long as, the privacy kind of safeguards are there, but also he's not super concerned about that either. Actually, it's all just kind of neat Jetson stuff to him. I don't know. So I sort of agree. I think it's kind of fun that they're launching this. Launch stuff, see what sticks. Maybe it launches, maybe it dies, and no one remembers it. 2 years from now. Okay, great. To me, that $1,000 does seem. And you know what? I won't guarantee, but I would be very surprised if that thing doesn't sell out even at $1,000, because there are enough, let's say, nerds. Speaking as a nerd out there, who would also find that neat, just to have it kind of run. It doesn't even have to do anything. It's just cool that it's there and that it works. For a lot of people. That's sufficient.
I bet your dad is already on the invitation list for the Ring security drone.
He could well be.
We mocked this when Amazon announced it. It is now available. It's called the Always Home Cam. It's $250. It's an autonomous indoor camera that flies around the home.
Yeah.
Kind of same idea as the robot. That you might not be home, but you hear a sound, and so you trigger the release the Kraken. You trigger the drone, and here I'll show you a video of this one. So bad guy breaking in, right? All of a sudden, the Ring security drone says, "Hey, there's somebody in your house," and it tracks him, and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And it plays an alarm, and he goes, "I'm out of here, man. You got security drones." I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I can see that.
This terrifies me about both the drone and the little Astro robot. They both have these surveillance modes where they're supposed to be helping you keep people out of your house.
They patrol. Right? Yeah.
The guy running away, that response is going to last about 5 minutes. And then he's just going to knock these things down with a sledgehammer. And then, this is like the sci-fi nightmare, they're going to have to more effectively do surveillance, right? So what does that look like?
So, you're right. It's just the beginning. That's actually a good insight, because that's really what happens. It's a slippery slope. You start with a video doorbell, and pretty soon you've got drones patrolling your perimeter.
I agree with that. And to me, that is the kind of the real issue here is theoretically perhaps the corrosive effect on society. Like if we're all just arming ourselves with surveillance drones and devices where our neighbors are, it's not exactly love thy neighbor anymore. Everyone's a threat. Everyone needs to be kept.
It makes you paranoid.
Like that is very that is interesting. I don't know what.
I want to be at the first big social gathering where someone has one of these Astros and they've forgotten to take it out of surveillance mode, and it's going around going, "Warning,
Who are you? Who are you?
Warning!" Yeah,
sounds it's 90 decibel alarm. So here's a video Amazon sent out of the drone patrolling your house while you're away, and all of a sudden it hears a little disturbance in the kitchen. And the telescope goes up, and it sends you a picture of a raccoon, and you go, And so you press the alarm button, and there goes the raccoon. Like, sure, that's going to happen. And you go back to your wine, and Astro continues to patrol. And now here's, by the way, here it is bringing you a beer. By the way, I managed to get that into, and she goes, oh, well, that's different. What? Okay.
Thank you.
I think 1,000 is not too much.
I need my spouse to actually physically bring me a beer. It doesn't count.
I sent the robot with a beer. What do you want, lady? Yeah, it's amazing that the length spouses will go not to bring you a beer, actually, if truth be told. I don't know. Amazon it's wacky. It's wacky. That's all. Did you see the Saturday Night Live? I can't play it because I'll get taken down. But see the Saturday Night Live skit from last night featuring Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and a special appearance by Elon Musk. All of them in their space vehicles. It's actually hysterical. Owen Wilson plays Jeff Bezos in a cowboy hat. I wish I could play it. But you're just going to have to leave that for homework afterwards. We had talked a lot about Activision's troubles in the workplace, about the sexism that surrounded the World of Warcraft group and its executives and so forth. They, of course, were sued. They have decided to settle with, I think, the EEOC. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission accused Activision of discriminating against pregnant employees, paying female employees less than their male counterparts because of their gender, and retaliating against employees who complained about unfair treatment. So Activision's going to settle, pay $18 million, and that money will go to, I don't know, remediation programs and lawyers in equal proportion. It is not the end for Activision. The Communication Workers of America labor union has filed a complaint with the NLRB. Securities and Exchange Commission also investigating, but at least one of the lawsuits is settled now. $18 million over workplace misconduct.
Yeah, color me surprised that the company with the huge rampaging orc statue in front of its headquarters.
It might have been a hint that it's not the best. You want to be one of the boys.
Bro culture.
Yeah, a little bit of a bro culture. Yeah. Not to give them any excuse, because it really was pretty reprehensible. They had a Cosby room to celebrate. They said this was their excuse in court. Well, we called it the Cosby room because the carpet looked like a Bill Cosby sweater. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that was the real reason they called that the Cosby room.
Ouch.
Ouch is right.
Ouch. Yeah. They settled the day this complaint was filed with the EEOC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, so they didn't go to trial or anything. It's like, yeah, whatever. Here, take some money.
Yeah, $18 million is not that much money for this kind of thing. But as you said, there's still...
It's not the end of the line. But,
yeah, exactly.
Should the EEOC have held out for more, or...
Don't know.
How does that work?
At it in enough detail.
Everything I know about the law, I learned on TV, so I have to ask you. You're an actual lawyer.
Yeah, I mean it depends what was being sought, and I'm sure $18 million was considered reasonable.
Yeah.
Depending on what was being sought, but I'm sure it was far less. Too.
Right. And the victims of it, I don't know how much of that they're going to see and all of that. But at least it's not a big law firm suing. It's the EEOC, so presumably most of that will go. It doesn't go to the government, right? Most of it goes to the victims, I would hope.
It goes to the Senator Blumenthal
Education Fund, a very important outreach program we're doing with all the older senators.
Yes.
Let me see. I don't know if I want to start with the Theranos trial, but I know you have some thoughts about that. As long as we're in court, we might as well. I've been watching Goliath. Do you like Goliath? Billy Bob Thornton's show about being a crazy lawyer. The reason this came up in my mind is because the most recent season 4, the last season, they're going after big drug companies, an opioid company manufacturer, kind of loosely based. It's called Xax. Loosely based on the Sackler family and OxyContin. And at one point, they're in court, and they go $600 million. And he goes, oh, okay. And they walk off. And the whole premise of this, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that, is that these pharma companies actually make so much money that they tee this up. The courts don't want the trial. The lawyers just want to settle. And so they tee this all up in such a way that they pay, they're off the hook, and they go home and everybody's happy. They continue to make billions. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense as a storyline. It sadly probably makes sense
as real life too.
Real life. I'm not watching Goliath. I keep hearing great things, so
you got to watch it.
Further great.
But again, as an attorney, the only reason that might be okay legally is because it's David E. Kelley, who was an attorney, and his co-creator is also an attorney, well-known attorney, and so I guess the legal stuff will be sort of. I mean, I don't know. There's some stuff I don't think really happens, but I'd be curious what you think.
Yeah, definitely. And another sort of interesting to watch from a legal standpoint show is The Morning Show, which goes
it's back
hard and deep and nuanced on Me Too.
And, are you talking about the new season or the old season?
I'm still finishing season 2. I haven't seen season 3 yet.
No, season 2 is the new season. There was only one season.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah.
Because the first season was all about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
Yeah. Let's take a little break. My attorney's in house. You see, whenever I get Denise in, I have to ask her the important legal questions. Actually, you have some thoughts about the Theranos trial. I called it the trial of the century. Of course, it is only 2021, so there's plenty of time to have more trials of the century. We'll talk about that and a lot more in just a little bit. Also with us from Consumer Reports, my favorite magazine, longtime member of Consumer Union, their senior electronics reporter, Nicholas De Leon. Great to have you, Nicholas. I'm saying De Leon, right?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay. Not De Leon.
It is De Leon. Yeah, it's Spanish. I am Puerto Rican, so thank you.
And proud of it, as you ought to be. My real name is Leo, but I gave up. See, I had the same problem. It's Leo Lapo. And I gave up because it's like everybody called me Leo. So I just said, all right, fine. I don't have to explain it. And that's probably why some people say De Leon because.
And I'm not gonna. If people could pronounce it, it is De Leon. If they mispronounce
Let's say it
it's
right.
not the end of the world.
Let's say it right. Yes, indeed. Seth Weintraub's also here from Electrek. I want to get your review of the Rivian. You got to drive it. Very excited. Very, very excited. What's your favorite electric vehicle right now? Is that it?
I'm a week beyond reviewing the Rivian, so yes, that is my favorite. And
whatever you drove most recently, is that it?
Yeah, one of my colleagues has just finished the Lucid Air, and he's ranting and raving about that as well.
So in Goliath, was interesting to note that the one of the big partners has a chauffeur and drives around in a Lucid Air. First time I'd ever seen it on the road. And it's very distinctive, isn't it? With that bright white line across, and it says Lucid on it. And it's also very, very, it's a kind of a limousine. It's a high end.
Yeah, high end, inside and out, crazy speed, power, range.
500 miles plus.
Yeah.
How do they do that? A lot
of batteries in there.
Oh, just a lot of batteries.
A lot of batteries. A lot of horsepower, too. Look at that. Over 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah. What do you need that for? That's crazy. I just think it's pretty.
EVs are getting a little crazy with the horsepower.
Yeah, they can. They got the torque. I also wonder, because Tesla for a long time was priced the same. Really expensive, but not as luxurious inside. And I've often wondered what the luxury car driver is going to do. They're not going to choose the Tesla because it's a little pedestrian inside. It's nice, but it's not super luxurious. And I imagine companies like Lucid, maybe Audi, will come along and take up that super luxury category.
We were just in IAA in Germany and had a chance to drive the EQS, the Mercedes EQS, and that's a pretty, like, if you're into luxury, that's a luxury car, and they let us take it on the Autobahn and all kinds of crazy stuff, so it was fun.
The Lucid has a big wide screen on the dashboard. That's kind of crazy. Isn't Cadillac going to do that too? Somebody else is doing that.
Yeah, the Lyric has something similar to that.
Yeah. All right, let's take a little break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about electric vehicles. The Rivian, the first, I think, consumer electric truck It's I think Seth liked it a little bit. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Our show today brought to you by Mint Mobile. I love my Mint Mobile. Oh, man. It really makes you wonder why these other companies are charging so much for mobile phone service. The big wireless companies, I don't want to use the word ripoff, but it feels like they're taking you for a little bit of a ride with the cost. And, of course, after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if you've learned anything, you've learned there's always a catch, right? There's always hidden fees. They always get you. You know, they start low and it ends up by the time you get the bill, wow, that's a lot of money. When I heard Mint Mobile is offering premium wireless service for, get this, $15 a month, of course I didn't believe it. Of course I thought, no, come on. Yeah, that's the starting price. What's the final price? No, that's it. That's how much they charge. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They don't have stores. So there's no crazy overhead costs to get passed on to you and mystery fees. They just pass along the sweet savings directly to you. It's easy, too. Mint Mobile will send you the SIM, but they don't even charge for it. Everybody else, oh, that'll be $10 for the SIM. No, they'll send you the SIM. You put it in your existing phone. They have a little thing on the site to make sure your phone works, but basically any phone that works with GSM services should work just fine. You put the SIM in. If you want, you could port your number over. Everything comes with you, and you're good. Suddenly you're going from $80, $90, $100 a month to $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. They're T-Mobile MVNO. So if you're already on T-Mobile, you're really overpaying. Use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan. You keep the same phone number along with your existing contacts. They also sell phones. I got an iPhone SE from them. It was $15 a month. It was a great deal, a great phone, great service, and I'm paying a third of what I'm paying just for service alone with one of the big carriers. And if you're not 100% satisfied, don't worry. Mint Mobile has you covered. 7-day money-back guarantee. Switch to Mint Mobile. They have unlimited plans. They have more expensive plans. I paid by the year, which really helped save. I just think Mint Mobile's, I wish more people knew about it. And, of course, Ryan Reynolds owns it, so you know it's cool. Get your new wireless plan for $15 a month and get it shipped to your door free at mintmobile.com/twit. Mintmobile.com/twit. I think you're going to be amazed. It makes me wonder, why I was ever paying more. Mintmobile.com/twit. $15 a month. That's it, all in. Mintmobile.com/twit. Thank you, Mint Mobile, for supporting This Week in Tech. All right, tell me all about the Rivian.
All right, so Rivian makes two vehicles, or will make two vehicles, the R1T and the R1S. That's the R1T. You can think of it as truck, and the S is SUV. The truck is a pickup, obviously, with a pretty big cab. It's smaller than an F-150. It's kind of like between the F-150 and a Maverick size, but it's still quite big, especially if you've used to driving SUVs or whatever. And so on the screen we're taking a look at the frunk. It's huge.
That's the best thing about electric vehicles. There's no engine, so you get a big frunk.
Yeah,
a trunk in the front.
And that's a nice thing for pickups because you don't really have any lock space in the back. I mean, this one has like space everywhere.
Look at that! That's cool. Yeah. Push a button, the charging port opens. It's got fast charging.
And it charges fast.
Yeah,
very fast charging. So it charges at like 240 kilowatts, which is like as fast as Tesla or even Porsche right now. It's a bigger battery pack, so it doesn't fill up quite as quick, but it's it's getting there. So anyway, we went up. They had us go up this crazy Breckenridge mountain trail, and usually the car adventures they take you on are like a ride around the track at the headquarters or something.
Right.
This was like a real adventure. Then they pulled the camp kitchen out of the middle of the truck, and all of a sudden you're doing you're cooking food, you're washing dishes, you're doing all kinds of stuff like that. So there it is on the screen.
That's in the truck?
In the truck. Yeah, it's a $5,000 option. You don't need to have it.
No, but I would get it. That's awwly cool.
Yeah,
that is so dang cool.
It comes out of the side. It's a little kitchen.
And it's an induction oven. So
you're kidding.
You don't have to get the Bosch. So they cooked us up.
I'll park this in our kitchen. It's great. It's brilliant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy peasy.
And, we went on a crazy mountain. It was tons of fun with one pedal driving, as you know, Leo.
I love that.
Cars. You just drive with one pedal. You're going up a big hill.
How's the low gear? Because that's always an issue.
So it's called rock climb mode, and it goes quite slow, but it's very torquey, and you can basically go up like a wall of a hill. So
this car has personality. I know the headlights were a little controversial when they announced this a few years ago, but it's cute.
Yeah. And so, it does everything, right? And then you take it on the street and you hit sport mode, it drops down like 7 or 8 inches from its like highest point, and you're booking, like you're going 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So you're pretty much like Tesla area, high speed. And they've done all kinds of stuff with the suspension because, frankly, most pickup drivers are mostly just driving around a pickup on the street.
Yeah. They think they have off-road aspirations.
Right. So, but this thing is crazy on the street too. And It's also very roomy, and it's got tons of like little Easter eggs. Like there's a Bluetooth speaker that's also a lantern that's just built in. There's a flashlight in the doorway that's, like always charged.
It's just like the perfect camping vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah, they really market it well toward the adventure lifestyle.
Yeah,
and they got me.
It looks like it has a tent.
There's a tent option as well, and it can go on the roof or on the bed. And it has everything: you snowboard, skis, like bikes. You can put anything on there. It's just so cool. Like there's just so many possibilities. Of course, am I going to do all that stuff? Probably not. Like, so there's also an SUV version of it called the R1S, and that's supposed to start production in January. And I was like, oh, it's got a third row. It doesn't have the cook, the kitchen in it, but it's got a third row. So my kids and my dog and everybody could be, in there, and we could take it to Vermont.
So you could have a family or a kitchen, but not both.
Right.
In your review, you were really excited about the battery recovery that it does. Can you tell us about that?
You mean the regen?
Yeah. So you're going downhill and you get some of your battery back, right?
Oh, yeah. So we climbed a mountain, and we're at the top of the mountain, and I look at the range I have, and then we go down the mountain, and I've got a lot more range, like, 30 or 40 miles more range. And it's like, I know what regen is. I don't usually go up mountains in my vehicles, but in this particular case, like I regened like a whole like commute just going down the hill. And, this was not like a street. It was like going down a, rocky pass. So I thought it was cool.
That's one of the great things about electric vehicles is instead of braking, you can actually put more power back into the battery. This would be the first vehicle I ever bought because it has a great kitchen. This looks
does have a great kitchen.
This is awesome.
It's a really well done one too. Like it's not just
I want this kitchen.
Coleman or something.
No,
it's pretty cool.
This would be better than an RV. You put the tent on top, you go anywhere.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh man!
Pretty nice.
Now, how does this compete with the F-150, the new electric F-150? Because that's
I also drove in that one.
Yeah.
The F-150 is huge and fast. It reminds me of like a work truck, like a.
Well, in fact, it's really interesting to see how Rivian's positioned itself against the Lightning, which is, we're the one for people recreational purposes, and the F-150, it's got power for your tools. It's that one of the ads shows the lights going off in the house, so you plug the house into the truck, and the truck powers the house. It's a different market, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's wide open right now. So these companies are
we don't know what's going to. Yeah, who knew that an electric kitchen would be a selling
possible.
It's
true.
Wow. How much is the Rivian?
So they start at like 70,000.
Okay. They're expensive.
And that's after they're quite expensive, and that's with some stuff and after the federal tax credit. I think the official starting price is 67,000, and then 7,500 you get off from the taxes. So the truck you can get actually for around 60,000, the R1T, after tax credit. So that's kind of their, their advertising point.
But the kitchen's only an additional $5,000. So
5,000. Yeah,
that's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
I don't know.
I could just see I'm not a camper, but man, if they just put a bathroom in this thing, I'd be set.
There's the great outdoors.
Yeah, you don't need a bathroom. That's where you're going. Nature's bathroom.
Right.
Rivian R1T, and you said the R1S is the SUV. And when are they going to be out? You can pre-order now.
They just started coming off the line. I think the first few deliveries are happening now.
Wow. And
then the R1S, which is the SUV, starts manufacturing at the very end of this year, and deliveries will start in January.
I am actually very excited. I think electric vehicles are taking off. And I will say thank you to Elon and thank you to Tesla, because without Elon's kind of taking a big gamble with Tesla, I don't know if electric vehicles would be as far down the line as they are today. But you no longer, even though I think people still, Tesla's still the best seller, you no longer have to buy a Tesla if you want to buy a nice electric vehicle. And that's rapidly changing. There's some great electric vehicles out there.
That's true.
Yeah. Tesla has turned on their full self-driving beta. You got a button, big button on the screen. Should you push it?
So the button was actually not the button that everybody was hoping for. So I'm a full self-driving on so I have two Teslas. One of my Teslas is I paid the extra, I think it was like $7,000.
It's really expensive, yeah.
Really expensive, and that was a while ago. And we're kind of like, hey, Elon, you've been promising self-driving since like 2017.
You basically just paid for the right to pay more for full self-driving, basically.
Well, I don't know if I have to pay more, but I have paid a lot already.
I think there's a monthly fee for it.
No, so that's a separate thing. They have a separate plan. Where, but that's a little bit annoying, because if you pay for the separate plan, you can pay right now, and they will put you in the beta right now. So, hey, I did this like 7 years ago. Like, why? Or 3 years ago.
I am proud of myself. When I bought my Model X, I saw that. I think then it was only $5,000, and I said, I'm going to not buy that.
Smart move.
Yeah, I did buy the bioweapon defense mode, so I'm not completely intelligent, but actually it turned out with all the fires up here, it was very nice.
Yeah, that's a funny way to say like HEPA, a big filter.
Yeah, HEPA filter, yeah. Bioweapon defense mode. Elon's nothing if not a very smart, savvy marketer. The big issue with full self-driving is it safe? And obviously you as the purchaser are in the beta, but let's not forget all the people around you as you drive down the road. They're also unwittingly in the beta of the full self-driving, aren't they?
Yeah, and Tesla gets around this by saying you're fully responsible. You're
driving.
In control.
You're driving.
So it's really not self-driving at all. It's
it's driver assist.
Watching. Right.
And I wish they'd call it that. I think I honestly think it's irresponsible to imply that the car is driving itself.
Yeah, I think the marketing's a little off there for sure.
Did you turn it on?
Oh, I'm not allowed to. Now we're doing this score thing. I can bring my score up really quickly here, but if you have
to earn the right.
Right.
Because of your safe driving. There's the insurance calculator built into the Teslas.
Yeah, so we have a safety score. I don't know if you can see this.
What's your safety score? 91's pretty good.
It's not bad.
What do you have to have?
Well, so Elon's made it so that he basically will give the highest 1,000 people access every week. So like, the people who have 99s, they're getting it this week, and then next week
so what are you doing wrong that you're only 91? How do you get a 99?
All right, let's take a look here. Forward collision warning. So I have a thing in my driveway.
If it beeps at you because you're about to run into something, that would be.
But Tesla's autopilot thinks that this rock and tree is a car. So every time I pull out of my driveway, it beeps.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God.
Hard braking, which hard braking is something you should do.
I had to stop. Yeah.
And then unsafe following, I'm at 19%. I don't know.
Oh, dude, you are one of those guys. You like to drive right up on the butt of the car in front of. Don't do that. I hate it when people do that.
I don't think I do that.
20% of the time, buddy. Elon knows.
also, this is on my wife's car, so the one that my wife drives.
Yeah, maybe she's doing it.
Well, I'm blaming her, but it's really me.
Yeah.
And
did Elon kind of pivot on that? Weren't they just going to give it to everybody, and then demand was so high? He decided,
So this is Tesla in a nutshell. Announce something amazing and a time frame that seems unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then every week, just start walking that back, walk it back, and then the features come off.
Yeah.
A little bit at a time, Oh, it's not going to have 500 miles of range. Oh, it's not. Like it all just comes back really slowly, and then you get a pretty good thing. A couple years late.
Didn't he say that by 2018 that Tesla owners would be able to let other people drive their cars as a cab? They would you just push a button and it would go, robotaxi would go to the people and they could get in? That was going to be like 2 years ago that was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know why people believe anything he says anymore. It's really quite frustrating.
And yet, I want to give him credit. SpaceX is amazing. Again, we wouldn't have electric vehicles at the level we have without Elon. What the hell's going on there? What's your sense of that?
I don't know. I think Benedict Evans said something that nobody knows how to deal with like this particular situation because, Elon is a liar that somehow delivers. And
he says the actual quote, and I have the tweet here, Elon Musk is a bullshitter who delivers.
Oh.
This breaks a lot of... I'm going to give you dispensation this once to use.
How did you pull that up so quick, by the way?
I'm good. I'm a master of Google Foo. This breaks a lot of people's pattern matching in both directions.
Yeah.
That's right, Benedict. That's exactly right. That's astute.
Yeah, one of those likes is me.
One of the 5,418 likes.
Right.
Yeah. That's Evans is actually very insightful. We quote him a lot on MacBreak Weekly because he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's amazing. If everyone listening isn't subscribed to his newsletter, you should be.
Hey, Jason, let's try to get him on a twit. I don't know if we've tried before, but let's try to get him on it. He'd be fun to have him on. Do you drive a Tesla, Denise? I feel like you might. Do you?
No, I drive a Ford from way back when Ford was such a strong sponsor here at Twit.
I bought a Mustang back in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought an Explorer then, and then I have thought about.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Oh well, back at that time, Ford was the only person really doing telematics right.
That's right.
And I liked them, and I wanted my car to have that. Yes.
The original Sync was fantastic, and then Ford screwed it up.
Yeah.
They actually ruined it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still drive a Ford, but I am I'm on my second Explorer now. We went 100,000 miles on the first one and then traded it in. So I have not yet taken the electric vehicle plunge yet, except for my bike.
We ended up putting in plugs on both sides of the garage because we have now 3 electric vehicals. Fortunately, one of them's charging outside because we don't want any fires. But what a story that is. How about you, Nicholas? Are you on the EV train or?
I have a very old Honda Civic. I'm not so much of a car guy.
You don't go anywhere. We
played a lot of Gran Turismo.
Yeah. There you go. You don't leave the house much.
That's about it.
What do you need?
No.
What do you need a car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really look neat, though. I will say that.
They are neat.
Kitchen.
I'm a fan.
That kitchen.
A kitchen. You have a kitchen in your truck. What incredible. Incredible. Let us talk about Theranos. I called it the trial of the century. Is it playing out that way, Denise?
I mean, it definitely has a lot of ups and downs and drama and gotchas. So if that's what people are looking for in a trial, it doesn't disappoint there. I think people were asking me in IRC, what do I think is going to happen? And it's hard to ballpark a criminal trial, to be sure, because that beyond a reasonable doubt standard is so high. I mean, they really have a long way to go to get there.
And the defense is making a strong case that she was an entrepreneur. She was trying to create something of real value, and it didn't work. Failure happens in Silicon Valley. Not her fault.
Right. Failure happens, but fraud doesn't have to accompany your failure. And I think that there's a lot of evidence of not nice things that went on there. So I'm hoping that the prosecutors do their job and make sure all of that comes out, and we'll see.
Yeah, the Verge says that the defense's strategy to put this trial off as long as possible, of course it was delayed because of COVID, and I think she was sick and there was various issues, has paid off because it's now 7 years ago, and a lot of the witnesses can quite credibly say, I don't know, I don't remember, that was a long time ago. Unfortunately, in discovery, unfortunately for the defense, there are still a lot of emails and documents, and some of them are smoking guns. One lab director said that they tried very hard to keep inspectors from going into certain rooms. There were emails saying, make sure that door is closed so they don't go in there. It did look as if executives knew that they had problems with some of the machines and were attempting to not be discovered, which I think would be evidence of fraud, I guess. There's also the defense that because the defense was able to separate the trials, Elizabeth Holmes is getting tried right now. Sunny Balwani, her partner, will be tried next year, that because those have been separated, each party is capable of saying the other did it. And since they're separate trials, it doesn't hurt either party. They could both get acquitted by blaming the other person. I don't know. It's a fascinating story. I guess the real reason it's important is if a company, and Silicon Valley I think does do this, sacrificed safety or even human lives to pursue a goal, that's bad, and we want to stop them. And I don't think Theranos is the only company that ever did that. And so we kind of need to keep an eye on this kind of thing.
Well, we just talked about how Tesla has Elon Musk has embellished quite a bit. Do you think that Theranos, if they were successful, and obviously they were not even close to being successful, would there have been any trials or?
Oh, that's interesting. There may still be trials. Isn't NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, investigating full self-driving right now?
There's a lot of trials. Like we could do a trial like every day, probably.
Yeah. So
yes, there are a lot of trials, but they're not. I don't think they're criminal trials for Elon or any of the head people.
Right. Let's see. What else should we talk about? There's so many stories every week, and we only get to do a handful of them. Do you want to nominate anything, Nicholas? You reviewed the iPhone 13. I decided this year to abstain.
I heard, yeah, no. And to be clear, I didn't review the iPhone. Consumer Reports, we should be getting the data back this week. I think that's the case. We previewed it. We actually got a loaner unit from Apple just to kind of give our early impressions. Yes,
Consumer Reports usually buys their products.
Well, no, let me be clear. We for this preview that was published, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, that was based on a loaner provided by Apple.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to do it in a timely fashion. Yeah.
The official, and none of that information. That is basically irrelevant when it comes to the actual Consumer Reports rating. Okay. My participation in the rating system is it doesn't exist. I don't have a role there. So we purchased about 1 million phones, maybe 8, I think, actually, the day it came out.
It just feels like 1 million if you have to sign that check. Trust me.
Yeah,
as somebody who
thankfully
does.
I don't. But yeah, so we purchased. I think it was 8, if I'm not mistaken, 8 units. Those are being tested. Those tests should be wrapped up this week.
So how does that work? Who are the testers? If you're not the tester, who's
we
testing?
have an entire department. And I don't even a department with managers and people. So it is other.
And they're specially trained for this kind of thing. And I presume you have protocols like we measure antenna power, and we have a specific way of measuring battery, so it's consistent across all devices. That kind of thing.
We have in our offices, we have the whole. It's like the old show MythBusters, where they like a lab. It's literally a lab where they run these tests, these photo
I'd love
tests,
to see that sometime.
Battery tests.
That's in New York State, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's like the testing, and that data is that is the CR review, the rating, whatever the rating comes out, it's a 10 out of 10, whatever it is. But that comes from that department, and it's my job to sort of take that data and turn it into, a story that like my dad will read, in addition to seeing the raw numbers, he'll get some content, because I'll talk to the testers, I'll talk to their bosses to get a sense of like, all right, what, because looking at, my sort of preview that we published, it was like, all right, Apple always says it's the best iPhone ever. And it's like, well, yeah, of course. And it would be weird if it like 1 year was like,
oh, this one's not as good. Yeah. But you know what? What's interesting is the scores, and you guys have a methodology that delivers a score from 0 to 100. The scores have actually been going down for the iPhone. Is that because the competition is getting better, or because, in your opinion, the iPhone's not quite as good as it used to be?
The scores, the kind of rubric is tweaked with competition, and like as our own methodology is like, okay, consumers really care about cameras, so maybe we should weight cameras a little bit more.
So it's conceivable the phone could be better, but the score could be lower.
Theoretically, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is. I'm looking. iPhone 10 was 87. That was the highest score iPhone has achieved. If you go to the 12, it's 78. All recommended, though, I note.
Yeah, recommended is the big kind of as long as it's recommended, it's what's the daylight between a 75 and a 78?
Yeah.
It's very, very similar. Yeah. But if it gets to see a recommendation, that's kind of a...
So you probably can't tell me how the 13 is going to do.
I have no idea. I literally have no
Come on.
That's not my department. I couldn't even... I know who might know, but I definitely do not know. I think it's a good phone. I think it's, one of the things I was kind of, if you have a recent iPhone, if you have a 12, should you get... Probably not. I don't know. I mean, you didn't.
No, I feel no FOMO. My wife got the 13. And by the way, she's been singing its praises. She said, this camera is amazing. She said, the battery life is so much better. She had lots of reliability issues with her 12. I haven't had those with my 12, but she had with hers. She said, I haven't had one problem with the 13. She's very happy. But I also notice, I have the 12. She's got the 13. I don't think there's much difference.
It feels like in previous years this would have been an S upgrade, maybe the 12S or something. But it's definitely a very good phone. The camera's awesome. I do like the macro mode.
The macro's cool, and 77 millimeter effective on the telephoto is now getting to the point where it's really a good portrait lens. You don't have to get set right in somebody's face to take a very nice portrait. She's taken some pretty nice pictures. I don't consider my phone I don't think that's got to be my best camera. So
I don't know where I think. I kind of feel like phones are almost like fully baked. It's like, okay, next year's camera will be even better. I'm like, all right, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty happy now. Maybe I don't know what I don't know type of situation. But if we were to freeze them in time right now, I think I would be pretty satisfied. And so imagine me saying that. Imagine if you're Apple. Now you have to come out with the 14 next year and get people interested again. It's quite a challenge.
Yeah, we talk about that on MacBreak Weekly, and I think the consensus was you just have to put out a new phone every year. It's just like a car. It's the same thing with cars, right?
I think so, yeah.
You're not going to see a big improvement in automotive because it's done. It's cooked. It's baked. So, but you still have to put out a new model year, and the people who are going to be interested are the people who have a 3, 4, 5-year-old phone.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And that's, I referenced my brother in that article. He had a 6S. What was that?
Yeah,
20
time to upgrade.
So he was like, I need, and he actually ended up getting the 12 because he was like, well, the 12 is so similar to the 13. I could just save the $100.
There you go.
And he's 25. He doesn't make a ton of money quite yet. So I was like, I'll just save the $100.
Smart kid.
And he's happy as a clam with the new 12. So
yeah. I think most normal people don't really see that much difference. Really, we do as reviewers. Now, battery life's a big one. And that's something Apple for a long time was going the wrong direction. And I think this was Johnny Ive. They wanted it thinner.
Yeah.
They wanted it prettier. And finally, they're going in the opposite direction where they're actually, in the last couple of years, battery life's been getting better and better. I never had a problem with the Pro Max.
I think they got, thin enough. Whatever that metric is, thin enough. We hit that some time ago, and now we'll get thinner because it's the thinnest ever, but at the cost of battery life.
They didn't say the thinnest ever, did they? They didn't say that this year.
No, not this time.
Nor
did
they say they didn't say it's faster than the old iPhone. They said it's faster than the competition, which I thought was kind of telling.
But to me, it was like, these are great phones, obviously, and a lot of them are very mainstream. What are they doing? They're FaceTiming, they're sending text messages, maybe they're listening to, podcasts or whatever. This a phone, a decade ago, maybe not a decade ago, but a phone a few years ago, you would have been fine. So it's like, there has to be a new model every year, but this is pretty good, and I think you'll be satisfied if you're coming from something, a couple years older.
Yeah. I really thought.
I have a question about the camera, because they keep improving the camera. And as Leo said, there's some people who, if they're really in it for the photography, they're not going to use their phone anyway. They're going to use a DSLR or maybe conventional film camera, right?
That's right.
But for lots of people, I feel like they'd love to have that kind of quality on their phone. Is that possible?
Sure.
They're very close.
I think,
they're really close
very
now.
Close.
Yeah.
And if people are just sharing photos to like Instagram or like texting it to their friends or whatever, it's like, this is a great photo. The average person is probably not going to lug around a DSLR to like go to the Bronx Zoo anymore. Like they'll have their iPhone and take a bunch of photos, but I don't know that the average person is really going to go out and buy a camera the way they did, maybe 30 years ago. Sure, those enthusiasts and professionals and like semi-professionals and prosumers, yeah, of course they'll always look at the SLR, but like for our audience necessarily, where it's kind of moms and dads and things like that, it's like the phone is the camera. So
Lisa, I'll show you a couple of pictures. She took a panorama last night. She did this is an evening portrait. I think she's been very happy with it. We were at a concert on Wednesday, fairly distant. She was able to zoom in. You can see it's a little soft because she zoomed in, but she was able to get a pretty good shot that she's very, very happy with. And so I think what normal people want, Denise, is just something in their pocket they could take a picture they'd be happy with.
Yeah.
And they can share it on Instagram or Facebook, and they go, see, I'm happy with that.
I think increasingly young people aren't what you and I would think of as normal people.
I'll say that again. Yes.
Yeah. Cameras matter to them because of the social media platforms that they use, and because the standard of quality has gotten, unattainable, if not just pretty darn high on those platforms. So they want a really good camera to help them out.
I've been really curious how much Apple's influenced by that particular market segment. Like, we are making a camera for Instagrammers and influencers and TikTokers. It seems to be that's the case. The cinematic mode that they're touting in the video is not for filmmakers. It's not for mom and dad taking pictures of baby's first step. It's for TikTokers.
Right.
I think.
Do you know there's a huge market now? We have a used camera store not far from where I live, and I have the feeling those people just can't keep their stuff in stock. The old
that's interesting.
SLRs, the actual 35 millimeter.
You think that's kids buying those?
Film cameras with the lenses, 100%. Yes, it's kids buying those.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
There are hipsters out there. There are kids who are buying vinyl albums.
This is a little different, I think.
This is real. This is something you can actually use and do something with.
Yeah, it's a quality thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up. There's a watch site. I don't know if you guys, Hodinkee is a watch site.
Kevin Rose is a good friend. He introduced me to watches.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
my God. I'm so glad I don't have the money to buy this stuff.
Edition Oris announced, I don't know, a month ago or whatever.
Sorry.
And the photos in that shoot were film. I know some folks at the Hodinkee site, and they confirmed to me they shot on film, and the video sections were shot on Super 8. So if anyone in the listening audience remembers that.
See, they're hipsters. That's totally about being a hipster.
Maybe.
There's no reason to shoot Super 8 video. Your iPhone is 10 times better than Super 8.
Right.
Right?
The other thing there's a market for, and I can't imagine how many of these you've discarded over the years, Leo, is the old...
Instamatics?
No, the video cameras that had a cassette tape in them. They were digital, but they recorded to cassette.
Yes, they High 8 they were called.
Yes.
Yeah, and DV Pro, and that's what we shot at Tech TV. That's what we shot with. Here we're using these cameras. What do these cameras take? SD cards, right? These are old Canon Vixias. Yeah. So my son, who's a TikToker, I asked him, well, why don't you just use the iPhone? He says, no, man, I got to use the Canon 5D Mark I. And he uses the iPhone for that's his second unit camera because he does cooking stuff. So that's his second unit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I am so addicted to Henry's TikTok. It's so good.
I will tell him. He'll be so happy.
I love it. I have foodie friends that I have turned on to as well.
Thank you. He's kind of taken off. 657,000 followers.
Wow.
His last, that video I just showed, the lamb burger, 26 million views. So I think he's doing something right. I did notice something with TikTok. So he has an advertiser, which is a spice thing called Danos. A lot of people on TikTok are, advertise. See, there he is. He's holding it. TikTok, I think, as soon as you have product placement, because it's not a big, long ad or anything, he just holds it up, completely punishes you. So he went from 18 million to 500,000. 26 million, 3.7 million to 750,000. They punish you if you have product placement in there. And I think that's something. So this was his first ad, and it's good. I mean, it's delicious. Maybe it's because he's putting French fries in a, I don't know what, pita. I don't know, but he's hand making his own shawarma, I guess. And there's the Danos. That's it. Just a little sprinkle. He says it's good. That's all. That's the ad. But all of a sudden, views went way down. Huh. They bounced back.
They're not compensating him out of the creator fund.
He gets a little money. Creator fund does not make you a ton of money. He gets a few $100 from that.
They haven't offered him an NFT yet, huh?
No. But one of the things you can do, and TikTok says, well, we don't mind if you do this. You can sell ads in your TikToks. And he's doing it very judiciously. This is an ad-supported TikTok. I don't want to say the amount of money, but it's some decent money and a percentage of sales. And it's enough to live on, let's put it that way. But if TikTok suddenly hits your views, by 90% because you've got product placement, ooh, that's not so good. And they're not rewarding you any other way because the ads they show are not in your video. They're not like YouTube. They're in between, as you know, as you slide through TikToks. So I think what they're really doing, they don't really want you to make money on your own. And they'll give you, they have a $100 million creator fund. They'll give you a pittance from the ad money that they make that's all theirs. So, but you know what? He's very happy. He's enjoying it. And
it's probably going to be a springboard for him to something else.
Yeah, when you get 26 million views on a video, I figure somebody's going to do something.
By the way, it is just torture for you to show that to us.
I know, I do that on purpose. Look at this. This is his apple. This is his apple or peach cobbler. Yeah, it's really, Does
he cook for you or does he just do it on his channel?
You know what really makes me mad? He's a mile away. He could bring a little of this over. I never get any of it. Any of it.
Okay, I would have words
mean
about that.
Mean. I gave him a Traeger grill for his birthday because he wanted to start doing smoking videos. He better bring me some brisket. That's all I can say. He better bring me some brisket. All right, we're gonna take a little break. I'm sorry. It is mean to show those videos. They make you so hungry. And if you want to follow him, if you want to be hungry, this is not a good TikTok to follow if you're on a diet. Salt_Hank. It's also a terrible name, but Salt_Hank. Kids today, I swear. Hey, I want to talk about notice it's interesting. We have a lot of security products we advertise these days on our network. I wonder why that is. Ransomware attack after ransomware attack, businesses held hostage. You've seen the headlines. It's every security now is what we're talking about. And I think if you're in business, you might think it's only a matter of time before they come for you. And you're going to have to make the most difficult business decision ever, the Sophie's choice of business. Do you pay millions of dollars to ransomware jerks, or do you lose everything? That's a terrible choice to have to make. There is a third option, but you have to act now. Defeat your adversaries before the fight even starts. We have this company has done something I think is brilliant. It's the wisdom of the crowdsourced security with CrowdStrike. With CrowdStrike, you're not alone in the battle against ransomware, because really, if you want to be secure, a secure future demands a shared defense. So CrowdStrike, they call it their Falcon platform. It uses their threat graph power by using advanced AI to analyze behavior, not just on your devices and servers and cloud workloads, but on everybody else who uses CrowdStrike. They have 1 trillion, with a T, data points a day, 7 trillion data points a week. This is the early warning system for malware, because so many people use CrowdStrike, and we're all in it together. They know ahead of time, long before the bad guys get to you, they know what's going on, and they can defend you. Their security platform delivers the industry's most powerful set of tools to fight today's most sophisticated cyber attacks. And you know what's nice? Even though they've got 1 trillion data points, it's a lightweight, intelligent agent delivered to you through the cloud. It's easy on you, easy on your network, but it works. Falcon Complete, according to Forrester, delivers a 403% return on investment. That's pretty good. Plus 100% confidence. I had a great conversation with their CTO, who's done an amazing job putting this together. Michael Santonis is his name. He explained how this threat graph system is a collaborative platform.
It's the crowd in CrowdStrike, and that's the concept. You know, the original vision was to build the fundamentals. It was to bring in all of those signals, that telemetry, and the more data we get, the more information that we have. We can use that to protect all of our customers in real time.
7 trillion data points a week. It's incredible. CrowdStrike harnesses the power of every click, every action, every ally to grow stronger and stop cyber threats before they can stop you. It's practically a living, breathing mechanism, because this is all changing so fast, you need to change at the same speed. Falcon Complete stops breaches every hour of every day through the expert management, through threat hunting, through monitoring, remediation. And they put their money where their mouth is. CrowdStrike's breach prevention warranty guarantees up to $1 million in the event of a breach. If you're a Falcon Complete managed customer, terms and conditions apply. $1 million in the event of a breach. Gartner Magic Quadrant named CrowdStrike a leader for endpoint protection platform for 2021. It really works. Join the fight. Experience the power of Falcon Platform. You can try it free right now. Crowdstrike.com/twit. Crowdstrike.com/twit. CrowdStrike, because what we've built together is worth defending together. Use the power of the crowd. Crowdstrike.com/twit. We thank them so much for doing the work they're doing, which is really important, and for supporting This Week in Tech. And we thank you for doing the same by going to that special address. That way they know you heard it here. Crowdstrike.com/twit. We were talking about Facebook's responsibility. YouTube's taken some steps to be responsible. They have banned prominent anti-vaccine activists. They are now blocking all anti-vaccine content. You know, in my world, that doesn't seem like a very controversial decision, but obviously in the real world, it is. Joseph Mercola and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. both banned, blocked on YouTube. Good thing? Anybody want to say anything for free speech or anything like that? You don't have...
I'll say something about free speech, that YouTube doing this does not implicate the First Amendment. I like to underscore that whenever, yes, that it is a private company, not the government acting. However, I do feel like it is acting in response to something the government has said, specifically our Surgeon General. So I think there's a connection there, but it's not censoring speech for First Amendment purposes, because it's a private actor here.
Yeah.
And when you look at, what YouTube has said about what they're doing, they're going to allow people to continue to have scientific conversations about vaccines. They're going to allow people to continue to post their own personal anecdotes. Oh, my kid had a terrible reaction.
That's interesting. So they're not going to stop that.
They're not. No. But if something is, the devil's in the details, right? Like, would you want to be on the team who had to decide whether this was a scientific conversation going on or this was actively misinformation? I think that's probably a hard line to draw, but they're trying to draw that line.
Yeah. Twitch is doing something similar. Apparently harassment has become a problem on the Let's Play platform. I play my game Valheim from time to time in front of an audience on twitch.tv. It's fun. But there are groups of people, particularly two people who have been going around kind of attacking platforms, targeted harassment. After an upswell in targeted harassment on the streaming platform Twitch, this is from Polygon, an organized boycott on the website on the part of users in a lawsuit to pursue 2 alleged harassers. Twitch has announced new steps it's taking to protect users against targeted harassment, including a new feature, phone verified chat. I'm not sure I like this, but it's an interesting attempt. You know, I like seeing everybody trying different ways to stop this. You can set, as a streamer, you can say that some or all of your users have to verify their phone number before chatting. It's kind of a midway towards no anonymity. That rolled out this week.
Right. If we're going to talk about that, can we talk about the China video game kids ban, which also uses phone verification?
Yeah. You cannot get online in China anonymously. They know your age, and China has decided to use this to prevent kids under 18 from playing more than 3 hours of video games a week. This despite the fact that one of the most vibrant areas of the Chinese economy is video games, free-to-play video games on mobile. I have seen some say that Chinese kids are not stupid, and they are finding ways to get around this ban, including using their parents' account.
Yeah, of course they are. I mean, I have to thank China for this, for their unsolicited donation to the Congressional Tech Education Fund, right? Because this is the kind of thing that our congresspeople like to talk about, think about, and consider. And China's doing a beta for them to watch and see exactly what happens.
Last week, I got some real stink eye from our panel on Twit when I said, China's doing the right, China seems to be doing all the things we ought to be doing to control its out-of-control big tech sector. And they all looked at me funny. It's a lot easier when you're a totalitarian nation. And I have to say, if we try, can you imagine the uproar if we said, many parents tried, no more than 3 hours of video games a week? That might just go down a little bit hard.
Not only did my mother try when I was young, she succeeded. Oh boy, did she. I was not allowed to play video games at all through the week.
Wow.
Even though I was super into them. No, and I respected that rule. We were allowed to play Fridays after we finished our homework. Saturdays we could play all day. Saturday was you know, a free one. And Sunday until 6 p.m. until I left for college.
Wow.
And I remember when I got to college and I was able to play games, you know, whenever I wanted, I definitely felt deeply guilty. And I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. So you know, obviously there's a difference between between a totalitarian government telling you to do that and your parents, you know, sure, but like you know, semi-joking, it's like I lived, it was fine, it was not a big deal. But yeah, I get when people are saying governments are doing it. But yeah, she did it and she succeeded, and to this day I'm like,
are you grateful?
I don't like playing during the week. It feels weird.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I am eternally grateful.
She trained you well.
Yes, she did.
Meanwhile, I played Valheim almost all day yesterday, and I'm sore. My back hurts. It's not a good habit. It's sure a lot of fun. Teenagers, Xinhua News Agency in China. Teenagers are the future of our motherland. Protecting the physical and mental health of minors is related to the people's vital interests and relates to the cultivation of the younger generation in the era of national rejuvenation. I can't disagree. Can't disagree. But one of the reasons they can do this is because you're not allowed to use the internet without registering. They know exactly who you are at all times on the internet. That has other impacts that may be a little less okay.
My favorite part of that article was apparently various members of the Chinese public complained because it appeared that there was someone who had to be a kid. They were
he was too good.
Well. Yes, exactly. He was 60 years old. And the video game company came back and said he has passed 30 different facial recognition
we checked. Scans. He's a kid. He's an adult. They said there's no way. I think he was like in his 60s, right? There's no way
60 years old.
This guy in his 60s could be playing this well. It must be a teenager using his parents' account. No, either there's a major flaw in their verification system, or this is an older person playing. 62% of Chinese minors play games online, 13.2% of underage mobile game users play mobile games for more than 2 hours a day on working days, according to state media. This is a big business. Chinese game market estimated $45.6 billion of revenue in 2021, and that's ahead of the United States.
Right. And back to my point about educating our lawmakers, one of the things that China did was ban consoles. So what happened to the Chinese gaming industry? It all went to the phone. Yeah.
So compare that to the biggest video game company in the United States. Who do you think that is? Apple. They make from video games $8.5 billion. That's almost a third of what the Chinese economy makes. They make more money than Sony, Microsoft put together. And they, of course, they don't make any games. They just sell them on the App Store. And that gives you some idea of how important the App Store is to Apple's revenue, to Apple's bottom line. Apple might actually be hit a little bit by these new rules in China. Globally, customers spent a total of $45 billion on mobile games through the App Store in 2020. Now, remember, Apple only gets a third of that, but $45 billion. A third of that was spent in China, only 26% in the U.S. Apple's cut an estimated $13.5 billion. That's 5% of their overall sales for the year. Big portion of their revenue.
Nice to be the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Ben Thompson's been talking an awful lot about. Is the best position to be in these days is the gatekeeper, the choke point between people and the content they want to consume, and it all has to go through Apple.
From an antitrust standpoint, it's not great for Apple. It puts them in the crosshairs.
Yeah, according to the Wall Street Journal, Apple made more money, more profit from games than Microsoft's Xbox, Nintendo, Blizzard, and Sony's PlayStation combined in 2019. Combined.
That's really amazing.
Who's the big game company in America? Turns out to be it's Apple. It's Apple. Speaking of games, Amazon finally has a game, a smash hit on its hands. New World finally came out. I've been playing it in beta for some time. Hundreds of thousands of players. It's an online game. So big success for Amazon. There were problems earlier on in the beta, but I think they've solved all these. On launch day, which was this week, 700,000 concurrent players. 700,000, which is a new record, one of Steam's biggest launches ever. Thursday morning, 450,000 concurrent players. And there are, on top of that, reports of queues of up to 10,000 people waiting to get into the game just to play, because you have to be on a server to play. Amazon may have a hit on the order of Fortnite or World of Warcraft. $40 to play it. Don't know how much money Amazon put into it, but they've been developing it for years, so I suspect it's, it's more than a movie. Hundreds of millions of dollars, that's for sure. Facebook is spending...
And you like it. It is Leo approved.
It's no Valheim, but it's fun. It's for serious gamers. It's probably similar. It's an open world. You wander around. I don't like all the fiddly bits where you have skill trees and you got to assign points. You got to say it's too fiddly for me. I just want to whap things and grow onions. That's it. That's all I want to do. Build a house. What game weren't you allowed to play, Nicholas, when your mom was stopping you?
Well, that would have been like Super Nintendo. So anything I was not allowed to play any Mario. Of those until the weekends. Yeah.
See, Mario. Don't you feel culturally deprived when all of your peers are Mario obsessed?
I mean, I was obsessed too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely, I had all the magazines.
Can you name all the Pokemon?
My brother is better at Pokemon than I am.
Okay. So I think there is an argument to be made. What did you do, Denise, with your son? There's an argument to be made that this is the culture of that generation.
So I played the lawyer card a lot and said, look, here are the terms of service. It says at your age, you're not allowed to play. Look, here is the rating.
Rules.
It says it's not me. This is what
did that work?
People smarter than me. No, hell no.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound...
It was, a not too effective finger in the dike, but it helped.
Seth, do you have kids?
Stem a little bit of the flow.
Yeah, I've got 2 kids, and they love playing games.
And you don't stop them. You don't slow them down.
Oh, I have to, because otherwise it would just be their whole life.
You'd never see them.
Yeah.
Never see them, and they would just be in it all the time.
So how do you stop it? What are the rules?
Well, like one of the best ways to stop a kid from playing a game is saying, "Hey, I want to play that game with you."
Oh, that'll stop them right away.
Right.
That's why there are no kids on Facebook, because that's what mom and dad
it's the same
are.
thing. Like, right. That's like, listen to my music too. Same idea. We do what Nick's parents did and kind of set some times after your homework.
It's hard though. Don't you feel like an ogre doing it?
Well, if we're consistent, and we're not always consistent, but when we're consistent,
they just accept it then.
They accept it, and they, then they're motivated to do their homework, which theoretically, I mean, this is all theoretical. It doesn't always work, and we catch them playing games after everybody's supposed to be asleep and all kinds of stuff. So we just try. We're trying. The parent in the 2020s is interesting.
I know.
Theme.
I think it's super interesting, and I think it's valuable as a parent. You can use it as a tool, like you were saying, Seth, to motivate other good behavior, like getting your stuff done. But you have to watch it, because there's an episode of Triangulation where I interviewed the woman who was Fortnite's UI designer, and we talked at length about how they designed the game to make it sticky and make you want to keep playing the game. The little thing, kind of like the sound effects that Henry uses in his TikTok, little things that just kind of suck you in and go, oh, that was a nice experience. Oh,
But it's a conscious
that felt
manipulation to make those games essentially addictive.
Right. Or, at least make you want to keep playing.
I mean, we're not talking OxyContin addictive, but nevertheless, I think they've become very adept at making them sticky. That's a nice word for addictive.
So the other benefit as a parent is giving your kids the tools, because their desire to play games doesn't go away as soon as they move out of your house, right? So they've got to know how to balance their responsibilities and the things they love to do when they aren't pursuing their responsibilities. So, they have to know how to say, okay, I'm only going to play this much because I have other things to do. I think that's an important life skill to get across.
Yeah. Little break. We're going to finish this up. Kind of some more entertainment news. I like the entertainment news. It's light. It's not, nobody's hurt. Nobody's censored. It's kind of fun. So we got a couple more entertainment stories, then we'll wrap things up with an excellent panel. Really fun to get together with Denise Howell. Longtime host on Twit. I think always host emeritus, DeniseHowell.info. Fitsbyfits.com?
Fits with Fits.
I'll never get it right.
Fits with Fits. Outfits with benefits. That will help you remember.
Outfits with benefits. Oh, now I got it.
Fits
with Fits.com. And the September drop, the fall drop, is that the big drop now?
No, this is still our spring summer that you're looking at.
I love these. I want this tie. Thanks. That is an awesome tie. It's a Norman Rockwell tie.
Yes,
and I like the Indian. This is cool. And you find this all at secondhand shops?
Yes.
So wild.
Yes, everything on there is vintage or thrifted.
Thrifted, that's the term.
Yes.
That's the term the kids use. Right. Fits with benefits.com. Fits with Fits. Also with us, Nicholas De Leon, who is, what are you working on? Are you working in you've done the iPhone thing. What are you working on now?
Yes. A couple of things. I'm working on a streaming guide to soccer. There's a big soccer game coming up at the end of October, El Clasico, Real Madrid, Barcelona. So we're going to have a guide how to watch soccer without cable. We did one for the NFL a few weeks ago and did quite well. So I'm working on that. I'm working on a Bitcoin hardware wallet story.
Ooh.
Just kind of looking at some of the hardware wallets that are out there, ease of use.
Square's going to do one, aren't they? Yeah.
I reached out to them and they did not reply. So I guess they're not interested in talking. What else? I'm doing something on streaming music services and Hispanic Heritage Month. I should be wrapping up with that tomorrow. That should be published this week. And what else? I don't know. I got like a million actual stories kind of float. It's quite busy month I got ahead of me. And then Windows 11 this week.
Oh, that's right.
We'll have
this is the week. I forgot. Biggest story. I buried the lead.
Well, there you go. See?
Tuesday.
Exactly. Tuesday.
Windows 11 is finally here. Who cares?
Aren't you excited? I mean, yeah, exactly. So we'll have something this week. I mean, I've obviously been using it throughout the beta period, or whatever you call it. I mean, it's fine. Again, for our audience, I don't think they should run out like it's the Windows 95 days and buy a new PC for Windows 11.
That's what Microsoft would like. But Paul Thurrott's been saying it's not ready. He says it's too buggy still.
I personally will not be updating this PC that I'm on right now to Windows 11 for, I don't know, maybe not ever, but it's going to be a while before I upgrade this because there's no reason to. Why it looks different. Okay, great. But is it demonstrably better? I don't. Maybe some of the security stuff is interesting, but like my day-to-day use of using like Firefox and Chrome and like OBS, if anything, probably I expect OBS to break, perhaps. So it's exactly. I'll stick with Windows 10 personally for a little while, but we'll have a Windows 11 story hopefully by the end of this week.
Who's your pick in the Barca game?
Well, I'm a Barcelona fan. I was in Barcelona. I actually lived in Barcelona for a few months after college.
Love Barcelona.
But Barcelona is terrible this year. It is actually quite funny how bad they are. So I expect them to lose quite badly. Well, I'm also a Mets fan, so I'm just kind of used to like teams
that's life.
stinking.
Yeah,
that is life. Life is to live is to suffer. Is some of the morals that my mother imposed upon me back in the day. So I
stop playing that video game. Did she let you watch soccer though?
Baseball. I was a baseball kid. I didn't get into soccer till I was a little bit older. But yeah, very very strict upbringing, I guess, is the moral of that
soccer,
story.
The beautiful game. Yeah, it is quite something. So all right, so Barcelona's going to lose, but we're still going to watch.
Yes, of course. You have to watch.
We must.
You have to.
There's
no.
Yes. And soon driving his. I want a Lucid Air, Seth. That's gonna. I wish I had the money for that. That's a nice looking automobile. Soon camping out with his portable kitchen in his Rivian. Seth Weintraub from Electrek, 9 to 5 Mac, 9 to 5 Google. What are the new ones again?
ConnectTheWatts.com.
Connect the Watts, which is for
SpaceExplored.com.
That's the one I'm interested in. What is it?
SpaceExplored.com.
I'm very interested in this. This is a hot topic right now, isn't it?
Yeah. We're finding out a lot of just like interesting stuff about.
We just got Rod Pyle was my space guy on the radio show. Just talked about this pictures of Mercury, first time in a decade. Look at that. It looks just like the moon. Beautiful. That's the amazing satellite Buca di Beppo. Which, no, that's wrong. That's an Italian restaurant. Bepi Colombo, which does, admittedly, sound a little like an Italian restaurant. But the first time we've been to Mercury in some time, and they're going to go, they're going to pass it by a couple of times, and they're going to go into orbit, and we're going to get some beautiful pictures of a planet we have not done much to study of late. You can read all about it at spaceexplored.com. We had a great week this week on Twit. Man, did we have fun. You know what? We made a little movie to show you all the things you might have missed this week on Twit. Watch. Is that Sriracha doing some personal grooming?
Yes, doing a little grooming during the show.
Yep. Those claws are clean.
They're very clean.
Themselves.
And
so cute.
Previously on Twit. Mac Break Weekly.
It really is the definition of larger than a phone, smaller than an iPad, or smaller than a tablet.
Last night I was reading a website. Lisa leaned over and said, "What is that? Is it your Kindle?" I said, No, it's the Mini." She said, "That's perfect." I said, "Yes."
iOS today.
All right, Rosemary Orchard, tell us about your final thoughts after a weekend being hands-on with the iPhone 13.
So one of the first things that I had to check, and I've checked it several times again to reconfirm, this is not the Pro Max, this is the Pro. And it feels humongous to me.
This Week in Google.
Astro's ambient intelligence is that it can roam around. Amazon pitched it as something that can wander around your house and check things out for you.
The defeated dog. I've been replaced.
Twit.
Yeah, right. You've replaced me.
Technology isn't always pretty, but we are.
Oh, that poor little puppy. Poor little pooch. Our show today brought to you by ExpressVPN, the only VPN I use, the only VPN I trust. These guys will protect you online. You know, going online without ExpressVPN is like, I don't know, using your smartphone without a protective case. Most of the time, you're going to be fine, but all it takes is one drop on the concrete, kablooey, you'll wish you had protected yourself. You need a VPN every time you connect to an unencrypted network like a cafe or a hotel or an airport, because bad guys can see you on that network and do all sorts of nasty things to you. It doesn't take much technical knowledge these days. In fact, you could just buy some cheap hardware like the Wi-Fi Pineapple, and boom, you're in. A smart 12-year-old can do it. Your data is valuable. Hackers know they can make as much as $1,000 per person selling your personal info on the web. You've got to protect it. ExpressVPN creates an encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that hackers not only can't steal your data, they can't see you. You're completely locked up. It uses strong encryption, so there's no way in real time anybody can even see what you're doing. And it's so easy. There's ExpressVPN apps for everything you use, including your smart TVs. Highly recommend that. Or just put it on your router, protect your whole house. And ExpressVPN, and this is why it's so important to get a good VPN, they invest in the infrastructure. They're so fast you can watch HD video. I've turned it on my router, and no one even knows. I don't hear complaints because unlike that other VPN you might have used, ExpressVPN is fast, fast, fast. Stay secure. Watch the shows you want in the countries you want. Make sure your internet service provider is not snooping on what you're doing, and keep hackers away. There's so many good reasons to use a VPN. ExpressVPN is the one I trust, the one I recommend. You can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/twit. In fact, you'll get an extra 3 months when you sign up for a year. That's the best deal. expressvpn.com/twit. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. You got to use them. expressvpn.com/twit. The 2021 list of the all-time most popular Netflix shows. I honestly, at the last Emmys this last week, Netflix just wrapped the place up. I can't even, they set a new record. It hasn't been for years that any one network provider has dominated. What did they win? Like 40 Emmy Awards. The most, this is maybe a little depressing when you put that into perspective, because, you know, maybe it was Martin Scorsese's amazing The Irishman, maybe it was Stranger Things. No, the #1 most popular Netflix show of all time, Bridgerton. 82 million people watched Bridgerton for at least 2 minutes. That's all I watched Bridgerton for, but I counted in that 82 million, I guess. I'm actually pleased to see this. Lupin, which is excellent and is in French with subtitles, #2, 76 million. Highly recommend that show if you've not seen it. The Witcher tied in 3rd place, 76 million. Sex Life, Stranger Things down in 5th place. Money Heist, Tiger King Season 1. I'm actually kind of glad that wasn't, you know, #1. The Queen's Gambit, which I thought was great. 62 million people watched that. #8 on the list. Those are amazing numbers when you compare that to, you know, network television viewing. 82 million people watched that show. Netflix films, #1, I never saw it. Extraction? Almost 100 million people watched Extraction. Then Bird Box, Spencer Confidential. I haven't seen any of these. So there's 625 million hours of Bridgerton streamed. I think when they look back, Denise, you're probably a fan. I'm sorry. I hope I haven't hurt your feelings.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
But you do watch it, don't you?
I did watch it.
It's romance,
Not
right?
going back and revisiting it. It's sort of like, eating a bowl of popcorn. You don't have to have another bowl of popcorn right away.
It just didn't grab me. And I don't think it's aimed at people like me.
No, probably not.
No. It's romance, right? It's like reading a romance novel. Yeah.
Drama.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Sexy, though, I'm told. Yes.
You know what's cleverer than Bridgerton, but no less heavy on sex? But
that's the two things I'm looking for. Clever sex.
Yeah. Clever sex.
Well, yeah.
Sex education.
Oh, I love that show.
Yes.
That's what I started watching it because of Gillian.
Gillian Anderson.
That's why I watched it, because I will watch anything she is in. And she's unfortunately, she's only a small part of it. It's really about high school teenagers. But every time she's on the screen, it's like, this is great stuff.
Yes.
She's very talented.
She is.
Netflix has got a new hit on its hands that I have not heard of, but it's called Squid Game, a dystopian drama from South Korea. 2 weeks into its premiere, it's a massive social media phenomenon, #1 on the popularity charts in 90 countries, including the United States. It may, according to some, dethrone Bridgerton and The Witcher as the most popular show ever. So just putting that on your radar. Have you watched Foundation yet on Apple TV?
Watching.
Is it going to save Apple TV?
Maybe. It's good. Does Apple TV need saving? I feel like it has a lot of good shows.
Apple TV, and now Apple said, okay, remember, there's a industry-wide strike in the offing from IATSE, the Stage and Theatrical Employees Union. And Apple gave the IATSE the stats of subscribers, saying we don't have to pay our employees that much because we only have 20 million subscribers, which is pretty low. You're agreeing, Seth?
So I don't like most of what is on Apple TV. I like The Morning Show is okay. I like Ted Lasso.
The best you can say about any of it is okay, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. So
it's mildly entertaining.
But I mean, Apple's got unlimited cash. So like when you said Apple TV's in trouble, it
doesn't matter.
Like a million years and not produce any hits, and they would still like just have unreal money. So no, they're not in trouble, but
they'll never be in trouble.
Foundation.
Yeah,
I think that might be good.
Yeah, I've started watching it. You know what? It's really hard to film these massive sci-fi stories. I always prefer to read the book to watching it because my mind is much better at generating the imagery than any TV show can be. But I think that given the difficulty of putting Foundation on the screen, I think they did actually a pretty good job. I'm watching it. I'm watching it. Apple, I read an article about Apple TV saying, oh, it's not about how much money they make on Apple TV. Shocker. It's all about Apple's services. And Apple TV is just one of Apple Fit. You cover that in, Connect with the Watts and the fitness thing. Apple's iCloud. All of the different services are doing quite well. And it's just part of that overall success for Apple. They're trying to change from a hardware company to a service company. And in order to do that, you have to have services, and Apple TV Plus is one of those services. It doesn't need to be better than Netflix or more successful than Netflix. It just has to drive traffic as a package.
Yeah, it can actually be a little bit worse than its competitors, and Apple throws it on their devices when you get a new one. So
it's hard.
A lot of people are going to be like, whatever.
How do you compete against Disney Plus, which has all these franchises? Netflix, which has been in this for many, many years. Of course, Apple TV is not going to compete with them. It doesn't have to, though. That's the good news.
Are you watching Foundation?
Yeah, Lisa.
You like it?
I like it. I read the novels when I was a teenager. I like it a lot. I think it's beautiful. I think they've done a really nice job.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
I think Lee Pace and sci-fi are always a good match.
Oh, I love Lee Pace.
Yeah.
So, So I'm happy. I like Jared Harris, too, is wonderful.
Yes.
Really wonderful. So, yeah, I like it. I'm not the Ted Lasso fan. You're the soccer fan, Nicholas. Did you enjoy Ted Lasso, seeing an American
I have not
football?
seen it.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a big TV guy.
Did your mom not let you watch Apple TV?
I don't know what her opinion would have been. My boss loves Ted Lasso. He's an American football fan, Penn State fan to be specific. He loves Ted Lasso. I have not seen it, although I will say on like Reddit and various Twitters, it definitely has a good reputation among
people
actual
love it.
Soccer fans.
Oh, that's interesting.
Even like hardcore.
Okay.
It is well done from what I understand, and people hardcore fans do like it. I'm just not a big TV person. I don't watch a lot.
There's a big battle brewing. Actually, I think it might be over now between NBC Universal and YouTube, Google's YouTube TV. This is another one of those carriage fights. You see them all the time, where NBC Universal says you need to pay us more, and they have a lot of stuff. They've got the locals, they've got sports, and YouTube TV says no, we don't. NBC says, all right, we're pulling off of YouTube TV. YouTube TV says, fine, we'll charge customers $10 less a month. That'll make them happy. Eventually, they made up. They've reached an agreement. I'm only saying that because I thought tonight was going to be the night, because NBC is broadcasting probably the most important NFL football game of the year, except for the Super Bowl next year. And that is Tom Brady's return to New England. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are facing off the Patriots in just a minute or two, and that's on NBC. And I really thought NBC was just going to go right up to the wire and see if YouTube would blink because of Sunday Night Football. Nope, they made a deal. YouTube TV will continue to be $65 a month, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
NBC must have gotten something that they wanted. But that's the good news. I guess we all win, and we're not going to miss Tom Brady return to New England. Seth, thank you so much for being here. It's great. Are you a New Englander? I feel like you should be.
I mean, I'm north of New York City, about 30 minutes. So wherever that New England, New York City thing is,
you're
I'm
kind of in between there. Yeah. Yeah. Great to have you. Congratulations on the new site. How many sites total now?
8.
Amazing. How do you do it?
Got a network.
You got a network.
Yep.
Man, when are you doing podcasts?
We have a few podcasts.
Stay out of it. It's a terrible business.
All right.
You don't want to.
Okay.
Terrible business. It's great to have you, Seth Weintraub from Electrek. Thank you for the Rivian review. Thank you for all the electric bikes reviews too. I want to get that tricycle now. You got me.
Oh, my pleasure.
You got me every time. Thank you so much, Nicholas De Leon. Consumer Union is so important in my life and has been for decades. Senior electronics reporter at Consumer Reports. If you're not a subscriber, you should be.
Can I just plug a new product we just launched, if that's okay? Great. Well, thank you. It's called Upkept. It's a new app in the app stores, iOS and Android app stores. It is basically a new homeowner's kind of like a right-hand man, so to speak, DIY, maintenance, all that type of stuff. It is a separate product, a couple months for free, and then afterwards it's $4.99 a month. But if you're a new homeowner and you don't, they don't
this
teach
is such a good idea.
In school, obviously.
No.
So yeah, it is for someone like me. I don't know anything about refrigerators or like roofs or anything, and I am hoping to buy a house probably within the next 2 years or so, give or take. I definitely need this app because I don't know anything. If a pipe explodes, I'm cooked. So hopefully this app will kind of help you prevent that from happening by staying on top of maintenance.
It's all your maintenance.
That type of stuff. Yeah.
You know, as a longtime homeowner, this is one of the hardest things to remember, and stuff slips by. I'm big on not deferring maintenance. Is this a new strategy for Consumer Union to do apps? That's interesting.
I have no idea, to be honest. I just know that we launched it last week, and I've messed around with it. It's pretty neat. I don't own a home yet, so not for me yet, but for the folks in the audience who are new homeowners or who will be soon, maintenance is definitely a thing you need to stay on top of. Otherwise bad things happen. So hopefully that helps.
Upkept. Upkepthome.com, or just look for it on Android on the Google Play Store, on the Mac iOS store. Thank you. Great to have you, Nicholas. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go Barcelona.
Thank you. I appreciate it too. They need all the good luck they can get.
You know, it's such a big money sport now. And and all of the stars are just being wooed away. Was Messi at Barcelona?
Messi was at Barcelona for his whole career. He just went to PSG this past summer.
That's
Barcelona
so
has basically
weird.
been very mismanaged for the past, since 2015 or so. So it is fairly self-inflicted that Messi had to leave. But it's basically you've got states owning teams. Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Chelsea team in England is owned by Roman Abramovich, who is one of the Russian oligarchs who, when the Soviet Union collapsed, he had like gas interests. That's why he's a billionaire. So it's like it is very interesting, like who owns what, and you lose something there. The locally owned teams who they used to be competitive, now they're not, just because the guy next door was bought by a billionaire. Daniel Ek, the Spotify owner, was interested in buying Arsenal, a team in London, over the summer. They did not. That didn't go off. But I'm actually kind of just waiting. When is Jack Dorsey going to buy? I don't know.
Well, I did the Mint Mobile ad, and of course Ryan Reynolds doesn't just own Mint Mobile and Aviator Vodka.
True. Yeah.
He also owns Wrexham.
Yes.
A Welsh soccer team. That's hysterical. Along with Rob McElhenney from Vision Quest. So that's wild. There was actually a funny bit on Ted Lasso in which they mentioned that. Great to have you. Thank you, Nicholas. And Upkept.
Thank you.
We'll look for that on the App Store. Thank you so much, Denise Howell. Fitz with Fitz.com.
Got it.
Got it. I did it right.
Got it. Right. And go to Instagram, go to my friend's page on Instagram, Bohemia Newport Beach, all one word, and look for her 929 post, and you can enter to win one of the sets and support her small business.
Yeah. Don't go there and rouse and
please don't go there and harass her. Yes.
Mess with her.
I would not be happy about that.
Is this it? Bohemian Newport Beach?
No, it's Bohemia.
Bohemia.
Bohemian. Yes.
Bohemia Newport Beach. Oh, yeah. There you go. Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Be
Just
bold.
great little shop.
Be beautiful.
It's right down.
Be you.
It's in the fun zone in Newport Beach, which is the touristy part of town where you're probably going to go if you visit here.
I actually really love that area. Yeah. It's really fun. All right. Thank you, Denise. Great to see you. Great to see all of you. Thank you all for being here. We do Twit of a Sunday afternoon around 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, 2100 UTC. I mentioned the time we do it because, as with all our shows, you can kind of watch us behind the scenes making all of our programs. The live streams are all aggregated at twit.tv/live. So you can choose from audio or video from a variety of sources. If you're watching live, chat with us live at irc.twit.tv or join us in our Discord. We love Discord. It's so much fun. The new Discord is part of Club Twit. A $7 subscription gets you ad-free versions of all of our shows, access to our Discord channel, and the Twit Plus feed with stuff that didn't make it into the shows, including conversations before and after every show and Ask Me Anythings. In fact, really, really good AMA coming up this week. Steve Gibson, our community manager, we made Aunt Pruitt. We said, Aunt, you should run this thing. So Aunt Pruitt is putting together, and I'm so glad we did, programs for our Club Twit members. We're going to do an Ask Me Anything with Steve Gibson. Is that Friday? I think it's this Friday. So that's going to be really, really cool. If you're a Security Now fan or you've always wanted to ask Steve questions, you don't really get to do that on the show. So this will be a chance to do that. Join Club Twit. Go to twit.tv/Club Twit, and you can hear that and even participate and ask questions. Twit.tv/Club Twit. After the fact, all of our shows appear on our website, twit.tv. Every show has a dedicated YouTube channel, as does This Week in Tech on youtube.com. Probably the easiest thing to do is subscribe in a podcast client, and that way you'll get it automatically. We don't care which one you use, it's fine. But if your podcast client allows for reviews, please do me a favor, leave a 5-star review. Let the world know you listen to the longest-running tech podcast in the world, and still the best This Week in Tech. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.